Yes, everybody, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack here to deliver you your Friday fan show. I think I kind of like the Friday fan shows a bit more relaxed, you could say. We sort of preview the games, easy things to sort of talk about. And I think we are going to probably talk about a lot of the sort of talking points that we had with the Joracle last night, as well as with Dave and plenty of others. Already plenty queued up in the back end. So really do appreciate all that have come on. So everybody that does have that fan show membership, do come on and have your say. The Friday fan shows are a great time to come on, kind of get to maybe get kind of the early start on everybody else, get to preview the game, have your sort of say on things, and you just get to have a nice sort of discussion with me on a good sort of kind of Friday chill sort of vibe. But let's greet everybody in the Harris Army, then we'll get into it. I'll kind of bring up some of the banners, some sort of the discussion points, then we'll bring on people and see what they have to say. Good to see Ryan in the house. And also, we're going to see Ryan, I think, nice and early. I think he's second in line. Everybody, Bobby K, come on and have your say if you're available, Bobby. Love to speak to Little K too, especially when we need Dyer's spokesperson, Dyer's PR manager. Big up Bobby K. Simon Cohen is in the house. Afternoon all. Drew LA is in the house. Really appreciate it, Drew. Thanks for tuning in, my man. John Langford as well. We have to play for 90 minutes, not 45. Big up, John. Adrian Shroka, good afternoon, all. Good to see you, Adrian. Hopefully you're keeping well. The absolute legend, Chris Agenbar, hopefully you're keeping well, my man. It's good to see you as well. DJ Samuel, good afternoon, everybody. We need 3 points on Saturday. Like the title says, Spurs must win tomorrow versus Bournemouth. I mean, as much as they were on a bit of a win streak, I think they are still a team that everybody should look at and think that is a must-win 3 points, regardless if it's away from home. Big up, DJ Samuel. Brian McGuire's in the house. Harry Candace asked Spurs to put contract talks on hold till after the Coral Cup. You're absolutely right, Brian McGuire. I do have that as a talking point, my man. Hopefully people have their say on that. Answer to our problems right now is the back line. We only have Romero to go to. And I honestly probably, John, I feel like Dyer is reaching that October expiration month. I'd be curious to see what people have to say about that. But I felt like I saw that under Jose. I think under Nuno at some stage. If Nuno was sacked, I believe, in October, he was sacked in November. It's hard to remember now, but I believe Dyer started collapsing in October, if not before that. He has this sort of a weird kind of hoodoo around the month of October, perhaps a bit of a spooky moon boots October, you could say, John, but it seems to be pretty consistent that he collapses in this time. Maybe he'll pick himself up, but I'm not too sure. Pick up the Irish Hotspurs hat. Good to see you. Get me on the pitch, put me on Kane's head, and watch the magic happen. Big yourself up. I don't know if we can cover up that beautiful hair, though, the Irish Hotspurs hat. Big up, Ellie. Really appreciate it. And she's grabbed the fan show membership. Appreciate it, Ellie. I mean, I didn't, maybe she's just re-updated it or whatnot, but Ellie, always welcome to come on, and hopefully you can come on and have your say. Big yourself up. We have Elias as well in the house. Says, big up, everyone. We need 3 points tomorrow. I am going for a 3-0 win. John Langford as well. Conte out is a joke. These fans have short memories. I certainly feel like it's way too soon for Conte out. Nuno was sacked on November 2nd. Thank you very much. So it does maybe confirm the moon boots theory. Big up Brian McGuire. And then we also have a member super chat from Wayne Bonner, member for 16 months, elite member as well. You absolute legend. Said, is it 3 p.m. Saturday yet? I need my masochistic fix. Hope you're all well. Come on, you Spurs. Tottenham till I die. I'm a bit of a glutton for pain myself as well, Wayne Bonner, hence why I'm a Spurs fan. And who knows, you might be basically hedging your bets on Hill Messi or maybe other players to get us the win, because right now for Spurs, we have not been starting off first halves well. And I think we need to switch things up. I think we need to put a bit of new blood into this 11 in order to kind of kickstart ourselves. I've kind of been fine with a lot of players. I think like certain players like Bentancur, whatnot, have been accountable, have been, keeping their standards high, but I feel like we are seeing some of the levels drop from a lot of players. So maybe get some new blood that maybe hasn't been able to get a lot of minutes, like maybe a Brian Hill, perhaps even a Fraser Forster, who knows, even a Jed Spence we'd all like to see as well, especially coming up against a former championship side. But big yourself up, Wayno, and hopefully you're keeping well, my man. And David as well would like to probably say his hello as well. So hopefully he's in the chat and Dave can say his hello. But big yourself up, big yourself up. Chris as well, still upset over Wednesday. Still can't believe VAR done us again. Hopefully people have their say about the VAR as well. But everybody, these are the talking points while I get into it. And as well, if you do want to skip the queue, if you do want to have your say, feel free to throw it in as a super chat. But obviously, I'll continue to put your comments on screen. I'll continue to put your questions to the people on this fan show. But obviously, the kind of some of the talking points for today are: should Conte give Bryan Gil the chance to impress against Bournemouth, especially maybe with his sort of Champions League kind of cameos? He's done nothing wrong, I would say, and he's actually made huge impacts. Is he maybe better off the bench sort of player, or do we put the 3-4-3 back into display and see if Bryan Gil can perform? Is the 3-5-2 stale going forward, in your opinion, or has it been given a proper chance? We kind of were asking the Joracle and as well as Brian Daigle this last night, where kind of connected to the whole Bryan Gil thing is, should we maybe kind of go back to the 3-4-3? Do we really have the players to do the 3-5-2 against a lot of teams? It seems like it's sort of a formation that we can only really do against particular teams, because recently it has looked a bit stale going forward. Or am I being a bit too harsh? Has it not been given a proper chance? Let me know on that. Have some Spurs players stopped playing for Conte? Simply as with that first half against Sporting, it really was dreadful. You look at how they just didn't get off the bus against Man United, the way that we just collapsed with individual mistakes against Newcastle. Let me know what you think of that. Have maybe some players started to maybe throw Conte under the bus, or is it maybe for a different reason? Was Conte's red card an attempt to take the pressure off himself in some way? I saw that on TalkSport, and I found that to be an excellent bit of housery. So maybe we'll talk about that as well. Was maybe the red card some sort of attempt to maybe take the pressure off himself? I really don't think so, but definitely something maybe to consider. Does Daniel Levy believe in Conte, or is he going to get cold feet and give into the pressure from fans that want him out? Basically, is Daniel Levy a Conte believer? Is every night before he goes to bed, is he singing a few "In Conte We Trust"? Let me know on that one. And then last but not least, Harry Kane has delayed the contract talks until after the World Cup. Does that mean anything? Does that mean something? Let me know, everybody. But let's get into it. Let's bring on the first guest of this afternoon, and it is going to be Mia. How we doing?
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm not too bad.
Any of those kind of enticed you, or do maybe we talk about Bournemouth? Do we talk about what happened at Sporting? I mean, take it away.
Yeah, for the we'll go back to Wednesday quickly, because I didn't really get to talk because it was late, so I couldn't come on. But for me, although people obviously were talking about the VAR and it was an absolutely crazy decision, like I couldn't work out for head nor tail what the rule's supposed to be. Sorry,
Varsical in your eyes?
It was. I think it's really difficult because I still haven't got a clue which part they were trying to say was offside. So I think it's the lack of explanation, because even Dyer was convinced when he was talking to the ref that it went back off of the player of their defender. So
that it hit off his hand. He like kind of raised his hand after Emerson hit it. He kind of flapped at it, you could say.
I'm not so like, obviously that's the thing. So it's all a bit confusing. I think what they need to do is be clearer, maybe with the explanation of it. Also show different, like to show different angles, because obviously again they're showing one angle, so that makes it really difficult for us to decipher what the hell they're looking at, because as far as we can see, we're like, but he's not offside. So I think that's the problem. But I will say, although that decision was a bit of a crazy one, we should have done better. We can't be like,
we missed chances before that in the second half.
Yeah,
so it's almost like we can't rely on that, right?
No, for me, like when you look at like the scumbag fans, they basically get their big book of excuses out, flop it down on the table, and go to chapter 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 on VAR.
The almanac of excuses.
Like they've got literally a whole bloody book about it. So we don't want to become that team. Like I don't want to use that, because I feel like we should have done better. Although the VAR decision was a bit crazy, I feel like we should have done better. So I don't want to put it solely on that VAR decision, because I don't think we should do that, because let's not be those fans.
And we simply just didn't show up in the first half. Let's be honest, man. Like, let's talk about that as well. Like, what happened there? Like, what was it? Just Lucas, where Lucas just wasn't performing? Was it just individuals letting the team down? What happened in that game? Like, I don't want to pin it all on Lucas, but he was one player that just wasn't performing. Dyer looked shaky. Hugo was shaky. Right.
I think that maybe the effect of the Newcastle game has passed over. The lack of confidence maybe has passed over to the next game. And a lot of people did criticise Lucas, and I completely agree that he probably isn't good enough and he does need to move on. However, I think it's a bit mean saying it's all him when he's just come back from injury. And I feel like pinning it all on Lucas would be really harsh, considering he has just come back from injury. So I do feel like that's a bit of a harsh thing to try and say that it was like he didn't perform. I think a lot of the players in that first half just did not get their asses into gear. They literally weren't, I don't know what they were doing. So
So
they started slow.
am I getting ahead of myself then by saying maybe some players are giving up on Conte, or is it like
Um,
Segal has said here, it's just physical and mental fatigue, plus with
I,
the World Cup coming up, everyone is
I,
at 75%.
I don't think that any of the players give up on Conte, because I think that he's such a manager that I don't think that any player who would give up on such a well-known manager for winning stuff is a loser themselves. Like, what kind of loser mentality have you got if you're going to give up on a manager like Conte? So I wonder if it's just some of them are just mentally fragile. They're a little bit snowflakey. They're a little bit, they want their arm being put around them and being like, oh, they're there. But where Conte's a bit more like, actually, mate, I don't think so. Like, I feel like that's really important. And in players now, where I think a lot of players are a little bit snowflakey. So I'm wondering if it's not them necessarily giving up on Conte, but they don't like being told that they're not doing the right thing. They don't like being told that they're wrong. They like to be told that they're the most wonderful thing on the earth. So maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, Dyer did enjoy probably being told that he could be the next, what was it? He could be a world-class center back, these sort of things. Conte has, in fact, probably, bigged them up plenty of times before and has been quite kind to them. It almost feels like because he sort of has to, because what other choice maybe does he have, right, in terms of rotation and those sort of positions, like in the case of Lloris, like in the case of Eric Dyer, it feels like, right, that he kind of does have
Yeah.
to pick them up a bit, right?
Yeah, no, of course. But I think that what it is, I think that they're fragile, because if they get told that if they're not being told that they're fantastic, then they get a bit upset about it. So I think
Sure.
maybe that it's more about that. Like, they can't handle the truth, basically. If you know the film reference, you know the film reference. You can handle the truth. Yeah, it's a bit like that. I feel like that they just literally can't handle the truth sometimes. So if he does come in and say to them, listen, boys, you just didn't do good enough today, I think that they get a bit kind of like hurt feels about it. I think they get into
Yeah.
their feelings a bit too much. So,
Yeah.
because like I say, if you give up on Conte, what kind of person are you to give up on Conte as a player? Like, what a good manager is. Why would you do that? Like, to me,
Yeah.
that's a bit mad.
I know, I absolutely feel you. And when it comes to giving up on Conte, and I certainly don't hope it's the case, but we've seen it before in these sort of months where it's like October, November time. It starts to get a bit shaky with certain managers, and especially I feel like Spurs have a history of it. I said before, I feel like Dyer has some sort of hoodoo around October. Like, I feel like he kind of expires, and I hope he can pick himself up again. But I must be honest, like, it feels like it's 3 seasons in a row now where I've seen him have absolutely dreadful Octobers. And it sometimes has been the detriment of us. It's kind of cost us our positions in the league table, sort of just cost, the confidence of the squad. So I do hope that Conte certainly is, still given the patience and given the time. And certainly that I hope the players haven't given up on them, because if
I would,
anything, he's resurrected a lot of their careers as well.
yeah, no, I would say that this time I do think that it's a little bit of it is a bit different, because if you think about it, the club are trying, like, they did give him some players in the summer, they gave him some in January, and he said himself he needs time. So clearly he needs to adjust the team to what he would want it to be. So I feel like that he just needs that to get those final players out. And I know some of them only gone out on loan, but we didn't want them in and around the club. Because they were obviously causing problems. So if Dyer is causing problems, I've no doubt that Conte wouldn't he wouldn't think twice, basically, about getting rid of Dyer, because he's quite a ruthless manager. He is quite
Yeah.
ruthless. Like, he's not a manager to think to himself, oh, I won't get rid of this person. I think that he's probably fairly ruthless. If he thinks he's not good enough, I think he'll say bye-bye. He'll say, no, he's not good enough.
Hmm. Absolutely. Can we talk about Hill Messi? I know I've been kind of, waiting patiently here, but Wayne Bonner certainly wants to talk about Hill Messi. He says, I like Hill. He has his talent is blatant for all to see. Our attacking play is more prominent when he's on the pitch. Time to give the kid a chance. Wayne Bonner, I'll take it a step further. Here are some quotes even from Antonio Conte just today or even just recently. He said, I believe in Hill. Otherwise, I don't risk a player like that in the Champions League. I try to find the right moment for when he can be useful for the situation. I've seen good improvement. I'm sure about Hill's future because we are talking about a player who sees and understands football. If I have to compare Hill with somebody, maybe I can see him like a Bernardo Silva at City. For me, in this moment, physically, he is not strong, but we are talking about this type of player. I mean, what a compliment there, Wayno. And what do you make of Hill Messi? Does he deserve the chance to start? Does he
Yeah,
need to be brought in? Everybody's saying bring in
I
Ringo.
I think that Broomstick deserves the chance. Like, I do think so.
He has the
Um,
hair broomstick as well.
no, the best was the gift that I used in the group chat with Mickey Mouse and the walking broomstick.
I love
That's what
that.
he
I love
reminds me
that.
of. Yeah, no, I think he definitely should have a chance. I think that formation, especially against a team like Bournemouth, will be fine. I think that we can adjust it if it ever needs adjusting to make it back to the 3-5-2. That's not a problem. I think that attacking wise, we are better with somebody three at the front, and I think he should definitely be given a chance because I think he showed in the Champions League that he's got loads of energy. He'll run forward. He'll
Yeah,
even like sometimes, obviously, even if he loses the ball, at least he's trying. At least he's running forward and he's not going
absolutely.
sideways, backwards. So I think, yeah, give him a chance. Absolutely. I'm never
Yeah.
like against giving people chances. I just think it's got to be like Conte says, he has to find the right moment to
Mm,
sort of give them that chance to see. And that was obviously a proof that he could give him a chance. But the only thing is I don't want people, if he doesn't do as much in the next game, if he is played, I think
true.
people should be too hard on him. I don't want people to go straight off on one and go, well, he's rubbish. And because I
Right.
think that's a lot of people do that. They're too reactionary. They don't give people time because even with Bentancur and Kulusevski, although they both come in and pretty much hit the ground running, a lot of people are still critical of them. And I'm like, you've got to give a chance to a player. You
Right.
can't just, expect him to come in and be this amazing player because we just know that isn't always the case. So I think
This
that people need to give him a bit more of a chance if he doesn't hit the ground running.
We have this problem right now where the 3-5-2 has gone a bit stale in my eyes, or at least is if we don't have as much of a free flowing attack, I think it's probably because we don't really have the right personnel, maybe in midfield, really to do so. I think in that 3-5-2, but the 3-4-3, maybe with the benefit of having Lucas and Hill sort of in contention. It feels like Lucas was given the chance, but he just didn't impress really at all. But I kind of agreed with Matty Hayes, where it was like, a ping pong paddle kind of off of him. But I can also be a bit harsh by, saying that to him because he's coming back from a big injury. And I think he's always, been a loyal servant to us. So it is maybe a bit harsh to be, to
Yeah, no,
label Lucas that way.
I
But
think
Hill is offering maybe in that game what someone like a Kulusevski would have offered maybe in the three four
Yeah, and
three.
I definitely think he's got more to offer than Lucas. And although, like I said that he's obviously come back from injury, and I do feel like he's a bit harsh. And when he has come on as a sub in the past, he has added that bit of extra energy. It's just the end product where hopefully Hill has got a bit more of the end product, which is what we need. Because
Mhm.
sometimes Lucas is head down run, but he does win us free kicks sometimes, or he'll run forward and maybe be able to draw some players into him and then pass. So I do think that he has got a bit of that, Lucas, but just not the end product. So I'm hoping that Hill offers the end product as well, because that's obviously vital, being able to cross and obviously or do something, not just lose
Yeah.
the ball. So I do hope that. I do. And I think it is harsh on Lucas. I can't help it. I think because like he loves Tottenham as well, Lucas. He's just like fully like coys, and
He is.
I can't help but love him. I just think there's something about him that I do really like, and I can't be mean about him. And
Great.
obviously, people say that he lives off the Ajax moment, But I do think he obviously has. He really invested in us as a club, and I think that to me means a lot. I think when a player really invests in you because he loves the club like we love
Right.
the club, and as a player you don't always get that with like you don't always get that with some
Yeah.
players. So yeah, like
I did a
I
video on that with Lucas where I sort of said, whatever you might think of him, he seems to absolutely love this club, and he's been a brilliant ambassador of the club, especially for fellow Brazilian players. I think in making them feel comfortable and making them feel at home. On top of that, I feel like he's one of those guys, kind of like what we saw Van der Vaart, always comes to a game, right, and shows up and
yeah
takes photos with the fans. I feel like Lucas might be that sort of guy as well, where maybe 10 years time you might see him right showing up to 5 6
yeah
games out of
definitely.
the
When
year.
you
He just seems
because
like that sort of guy.
when you look when we won against Leicester, how crazy he went. He even grabbed the man's hat because he went so mad, like celebrating, jumping on people's backs and like going mad. Like he really feels like he's really bought into the club and really feels it when we do score. Or, when we lose, you can see like he looks unhappy. Like he really feels it, and I think sometimes that kind of like endures me to somebody. I'm a bit like, like he loves the club, so I can't be really mean about him. I just can't.
Mhm. Yeah,
And plus,
I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that,
and
especially with how
plus,
long he's been here.
and I understand that people say he lives off that Ajax moment, but that Ajax moment was the craziest moment in my life as a Tottenham fan. Like I have never had
Someone
that
also
moment
said he
like
had a
that.
good
So
Champions League campaign even. They didn't say it wasn't that one
yeah,
game. They said he had a good
no,
campaign.
definitely. He
Yeah.
definitely was good in that campaign. He really was, because don't forget we had Kane out for some of it. So
Mhm,
other players did have to step up. And in that moment against Ajax, he did step up. He's on his
mhm.
own got us through on his own, really, because no one else wanted to, like, they all were a bit kind of losing hope, but he never lost that hope. He never lost
Absolutely.
faith. So
Oh,
I've kind of love him for that.
me as well. Wayne Bonner with another super chat says Hill moves nonstop, always looking for the ball and moving off the ball to offer an option of an outlet. He's gonna be quality. I mean, Wayno, let me know what you think of that Bernardo Silva comparison that Conte gave. I think it is sort of accurate in the sense that the way they're always moving for the ball, finding space, always looking to look forward, go towards goal and whatnot. But I must say, like, what I do love about Bernardo Silva is if he feels like he's one of the hardest people in the world to get the ball off of type of guy. Like he's just simply exceptional with his first touch and just how he just kind of takes players out of the game. It feels like with that first touch. But Hill Messi, I would say, maybe has even a bit more dynamism to his game than a Bernardo Silva, I would say. But I mean, it is it's such a really nice compliment. I would say, Wayne. But definitely with how he's been moving off the ball, to his intelligence, just the way that he was also whipping balls into the box the other day, Wayne, it just was everything that's simply sad to say that Lucas just wasn't doing that game. And I think we probably should give Hill the benefit of the doubt in the upcoming game and at least give him some minutes. Does he start again? I would love to see him start. Don't get me wrong, but perhaps you do give him more than 20 minutes if he isn't going to start. You give him 30 minutes, especially if Lucas maybe doesn't impress, and especially if he goes for the 3-4-3 again. But I think Hill Messi could be that sort of temporary sort of fix or solution to what we're missing with Kulusevski. Don't get me wrong, he's not going to get near the numbers or I think deliver in the same way Kulusevski does, but I think what we've been missing going forward has been that bit of genius, has been that bit of creativity, has been that bit of kind of composure, you could even say. And I think Hill has that more than Lucas does, Wayne. But that's my thoughts on it, and really appreciate your support, my man. And just want to
You know,
greet a few people. Oh yeah. What?
yeah, no, I do agree. I was going to say I completely agree. I think it's that I think people didn't. I think they underestimate how creative Kulu was, because he always used to drive forward. He would drive forward with the ball. He'd look up, look for passes. He was a creative source as well. So we have been missing that massively. I do feel like we've missed that massively.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Just want to greet a few people, and then I'm going to ask you one more question, Mia. Catman Jess is in the house. Good to see you, Catman. Hugo will start. It feels like Hugo needs some confidence. So, do you just play him through it, Catman, or do you take him out of the firing line? Let me know. John Fitzpatrick, good to see you as well. Hopefully, you're keeping well. Royal Spurs in the house. Conte, and I know Mia likes that. Dan Coy's afternoon, Jack, just joining up. Big up, Mia. Come on, New Spurs. Come on, New Harris Army. Big up, Dan. And then kind of last question for you here, Mia. John Langford. Jack, do you think all this talk about Son is affecting him? It's, rumors with Real Madrid, Barcelona, etc. Also the fact that there's been some people saying he's been a bit underwhelming this season and is underperformed. Has something gotten to Son this season, Mia, or do you think we're probably overreading it
I
right
think
now?
I think we're probably overreading it because don't if you look at the stats, actually, Son never really starts the season that well. He's a bit of a purple patch player anyway. So I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like that there obviously the pressure came from getting the golden boot, and maybe that's why he feels a bit more pressure himself. Maybe he's putting too much pressure on himself more than anything, because you know how strict his dad is, and obviously he obviously feels
Yeah.
like he has to achieve because his dad's obviously going to be there and be like, right, you got golden boot last year, I want you to do well. I think maybe he puts actually more pressure on himself, because I know that they say players do look into social media and they probably read bits here and there, but I've got a feeling that Son's probably quite protected by his family, I would have thought, because culturally normally you're very close knit family in those sort of like scenarios, I find. So I think that
Mm,
he's probably quite protected in that way by his family, but I think probably the pressures from himself. I think that he probably will be putting it more on himself because he knows he hasn't been performing. And I do think that people forget, though, he is a purple patch player, and if you look into his stats, he isn't necessarily the greatest starter of the season. So, and we've only had 10 Prem games so far, and obviously some Champions League games. So I think
yeah.
that people need to take it a bit easy on Son. I think that without Son, we do look so much worse. Like without Kane, people always underestimate, oh, we haven't got Kane. But for me, it's Sonny. When we haven't got Sonny and now Kulu, I feel like it's a massive, massive miss, because again, Sonny runs like the speed that guy can run at is mad. It's
Still
crazy.
world class. He still has that world
Yeah,
class pulse, and
you don't lose that. So I don't think he's lost it. I think that there's probably more pressure on himself. I think that he probably thinks to himself, I got golden boot last year, I want to put that pressure. Obviously
right.
this year no one's going to get it but that robot Haaland, let's be honest. Like
The
he's
way
not
I put
actually.
it the way I put it too, I feel like he's having a good first touch. I feel like he's not giving it away like maybe he was in the beginning of the season. His hold up play is
Yeah,
looking fine. He's skinning players right now. I think he's doing all the right things, man. It's just the finish has let him down a few times, I must be honest. He's just hasn't been as clinical as we know he has been in the past. And at the same time, too, he hasn't gotten the same service, I think, as he's
yeah,
gotten it in other games.
and
So I think that, but when I have seen him on the ball, when I have seen him receive the ball, like he's doing a lot of good things with it, and he is making the right moves, and he is getting by his player, and he is doing those Sonny like things. It's just maybe he's not at full capacity right now, but I wouldn't say he's playing poor right now actually at all. That's where I
no,
think it's getting harsh, because when I
I
see
think
him on the ball, he's actually doing a lot with it.
I think that on the ball he's been good, and I think, like you say, he's been at like he's just his chances. But hasn't Harry Kane had the same? Why aren't people speaking about Kane? I know Kane scores more goal. He scored more goals so far this season than Sonny, but still, I just feel like if we ain't picking on one player, we're just picking on another, and I feel like it's really unnecessary. Like it's a really unnecessary thing to do to keep trying to call out players when if it was called for, like it is with Eric Dyer, that's understandable. But I think with Sonny, he's been fine. Like I just
Yeah,
don't
I
think
agree.
that
I
it's
agree.
it's a problem. Like I think people need to just lay off of him
Yeah.
and just watch him. If you watch him with your eyes, then you'll know. I swear people watch games with their eyes closed sometimes. It's like, are you even watching the game? Because if you just listen to commentary and listen to what them bozos say, they talk a load of nonsense anyhow. They're always trying to disrespect Tottenham, and whatever they say, there's always like a little diss in there when they're
Right.
commentating.
Right.
So if you just watch it with your eyes, and you'll see that he's doing fine. It's just that end product, but he's a purple patch player. Once he starts firing, there's no stopping him, and we've seen that in the past. Once he starts scoring, that he will just score goal after goal after goal. So he's, needs to get that a bit of confidence and score a few more goals, and I think he'll be absolutely fine.
I completely agree, Mia. Really well said there. I couldn't have put it better myself. Can I give a score prediction, Mia? Maybe a final comment on Bournemouth before we let you go and get to the other
Oh,
fans?
um, with Bournemouth, I didn't get a chance to talk about the Harry Kane contract thing. Obviously, I think
Please,
that's a bit
yeah,
of a
I mean, believe me, you're getting us started, you're getting us warmed up, so, please,
yeah,
maybe quick comment on that too.
with the contract, it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Because it feels like everything's sort of teetering on like a little pinpoint, and like it's like Conte's contract, Harry's contract, and it feels like that maybe when one goes, the other one will. So it will be like if Conte signs, Harry will sign. If Harry signs, Conte will sign. So it
Right.
feels like it's all like on a bit of a knife edge. So I do feel like there's something more at play here, that it's maybe more to do with him possibly thinking about the Conte contract and
Mhm.
maybe in January to
That's an
see what
honest answer.
happens.
Yeah.
So although obviously the thing is with Harry Kane, if he's going to leave, he's going to leave. If he's not going to sign a contract, although it's really disappointing, it's going to be really difficult for us because we won't
Yeah.
get a lot of money for him because of his age and if he don't sign a contract. But he's given us a lot of time, and
Yeah.
he obviously has stayed with us. So I don't know, like I can't really say that he should have to sign. Obviously, I'd love for him to sign one because he's a brilliant player. But at some point, we're going to have to do post Harry. We're going to have to get used to a team one day without Harry, and players do move on. And I feel like people get very precious over players, and we can't be like that because
Mhm.
players come and go. It's about the team, and we have to do what's best by the
Yeah,
team. So obviously,
absolutely.
best by the team would be him staying. Do not get it twisted, anybody. I want him to sign that contract, but if he doesn't sign it, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We can't tell him he has to stay. So I think to me personally, it's to do with Conte's contract. I think it's all sort of interlinked to see who's going to kind of go first, sort of thing. Who's going to be the one who signs on the dotted line first.
Mhm. I think you're
So
probably right. I think it is, in tandem with each other, but at the same time, there's probably more than meets the eye. You're absolutely right, Mia. And can I get that score prediction, please, before I let you go?
oh, um 3-1, we're going to win.
Okay. 3-1.
I'm
Could feel
hoping
a
that
3-1.
I hope we come out and that VAR decision has made us really angry, and that we do what Jose said. We have to be horrible C words, like we have to be them ones. We can't
Mhm.
come out
A
and
lot
be
of
nice.
housery tomorrow is needed. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, we need to come out and just put it on them, basically. Give them all the nasty tackles. Don't worry about
Yes.
it. Just like be in their faces, be right up in their faces, and then that way they know what they're in for the whole match.
Absolutely.
So then it's not just us being passive to start with. I'm hoping anyway that that's how they feel, that they feel angry like we felt a bit angry
Mm.
about the whole thing. So I'm hoping that obviously makes them just play out of their skin and think to themselves, right, we need to get this
We
done.
need this. We need exactly what you just said there, Mia. We need exactly what you just said. Bang on. Mia, absolutely thank you. 3-1. I'll take that. We need a win like that. And we need that sort of performance like you were speaking about just there. But
Yep.
Mia, I would definitely say take a look at the comments. So many people really loved what you had to say. Really, people really
And
appreciate it
don't
today.
forget,
Absolutely bang
everybody,
on.
in Conte we trust.
In Conte we trust. Absolutely right, Mia. Mia, I'll be seeing you soon. Appreciate you. And thank you
Speak to
for
you
getting us
soon.
started.
No worries. Take care.
Catcha. Come on, you
Bye.
Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Everybody show Mia some love. You already were in the chat. Absolute legend she is, and she got to bang off in the right way. Everybody getting us warmed up. Sebas Wolfhill with the Adama Traore body and his technical abilities with that mushroom hair. It would be terrifying. Sebas, he needs to get on your training plan, my man. He needs to get on your training plan. We need to get him over here. Get him over to Brooklyn, my man. Big up, Sebas, you absolute legend. Wesley Johnson, big up, Jack. 3 points tomorrow is an absolute must. I completely agree. That's why it's in the title, West. Completely agree. Tomorrow's result could very well dictate the performance at Marseille. Really well said there. What's the fallout if we go out in Champions League and 4 straight L's in league play post Liverpool? I mean, Wesley, such great comments here, and I'm going to get it to the guests, but maybe my initial thoughts here is tomorrow is a must win, no matter how you look at it. Bournemouth as a team, even if they were coming into it in good form and whatnot, they are actually now kind of starting to lose some games, but they were actually, I think, on a 6-game unbeaten run at some stage. But no matter what, away or home, you have to look at Bournemouth, a team like Tottenham Hotspur, and just expect 3 points. Tomorrow's result definitely could influence it in some sort of way, because we're not even going to have Conte there at Marseille for the halftime team talk or some sort of a pre-match. Even it's just gonna be the players and Stellini, I think, and Ryan Mason ball out there. So the players are going to need to look at themselves, because it's not going to be Conte that's going to be able to babysit them and sort of kind of guide them through the performance. They're going to have to do it without him, and then we'll see how they're going to be able to handle that sort of Marseille atmosphere and also that sort of pressure away from home, which they haven't been able to do before. There really is no evidence in the past few seasons in European games away from home that this team is able to cope with it. And especially without an Antonio Conte, it certainly is a scary proposition. And so we're going to need those 3 points tomorrow to get any sort of kind of confidence, any sort of semblance of sort of kind of confidence about ourselves. You're absolutely right there, Wesley. And then what's the fallout? The fallout is if the likes of Daniel Levy, Enoch, and whatnot keep the faith in Antonio Conte and back him in January and show the faith in him. I think that's the fallout. Is certainly probably there would be more voices for skepticism and criticism of Conte. There might be more Conte out, I would imagine, and it's whether Daniel Levy sort of bow to that sort of pressure. And I think that's what sort of happens, actually, if we lose 4 in a row in that sort of situation. I mean, pray it doesn't happen, but I think Antonio Conte right now in this moment in time, he's finding his ways and he's trying to get these 2 games. And if he gets 2 wins here, Bournemouth and Marseille, I think that takes a lot of the tension off, takes a lot of the pressure off. But I'm going to keep this kind of in the chat there, Wesley. I'm going to bring this up to our next guest here. But we have Ryan. Oh, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Jack?
Yep.
You alright, bro? Can you hear me?
Brother? Yep.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
So what do you thought on Wesley's kind of super chat there? 3 points tomorrow is an absolute must. Tomorrow's result could very well dictate the performance at Marseille. What's the fallout if we go out in the Champions League and 4 straight L's in league play post Liverpool? What are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
Well, first of all, what would the fallout be? Well, the fallout would be, for starters, is if we would have to literally argue everything we can when it comes to Enoch being out. That's the first thing. There's no doubt about that. It would have to be an Enoch out at that point. Well, I mean,
it feels like that it'd be more pressure on Daniel Levy to hold his nerve with Conte, because either he gives in to the fans, I think, and gives in to the pressure, to the media, etc. Right, that would be there if we're in that situation, and he kind of gives into it, or he doesn't and he backs Conte. It's one or the other, really.
Well, I think this is like a difficult question. It's a very good question.
Like the cat has got your tongue on this one, Ryan.
I think on this question. My tongue on this one, to be honest. I don't think just the cat. I think fucking Lucky's got it as well. They've both got my tongue. I don't even know where to go with this one. Well, I think 3 points tomorrow isn't a must. It should be a give me. A gimme.
An absolute must, yeah. Should be easy.
It's not a must. It should be. Well, I mean, saying it's an easy 3 points with Tottenham, you can. I've always been told never say that Tottenham have ever got easy 3 points. That's a good old saying from my granddad's obviously used to say that a lot more. With Tottenham, it's never guaranteed a 3 points. Wise words from his point of view. I never actually understood it at the time, but I think I'm starting to get it now. After nearly 31 years of being in this world, yeah. But
you need the 3 points tomorrow. What are your thoughts on Bournemouth there, Ryan? They kind of went on a 6-game unbeaten run after they sacked Scotty Parker with that 9-0 defeat that he suffered. But they actually got picked up a bit of form. I mean, they drew with Wolves, won against Forest, drew against Newcastle, something we couldn't even do. They drew against Brentford, won against Leicester City, drew against Fulham, and then they kind of went on a 2-game losing streak against Southampton and West Ham. So 2 teams that we've also played before. So this Bournemouth side, I don't know, are they starting to maybe get out of that? What is it, that manager bounce? That new manager bounce?
Do you know what? It's difficult because look at us, yeah, right? Last year, but from literally November last year, yeah? Right? We was on a manager bounce all the way through until we lost our first game this year.
Yeah.
If you think about it realistically, because Conte, obviously, I know Conte's a different kettle of fish altogether. I know that. And I know all managers have a different effect, if that makes sense. But it's difficult. I think no. I just think they've just gone through a couple of bad games. It's just a little blip, I think, personally.
All right. Wesley, appreciate your support, my man. Really do. And hopefully you appreciate the answers as well, my man. You're absolute legend. And thanks for supporting the channel as well. And anybody else that wants to skip the queue, feel free. I feel like it is a bit of a new manager bounce that has maybe gone perhaps a bit stale now. And it's with the likes of losing to West Ham. I heard there were a few VAR controversies, though, in that one. I didn't actually catch that game, but I heard VAR had a lot to play in that West Ham game.
Jack, I don't mean to be sounding hypocritical here or whatever, but can we please not talk about anything but VAR, please? Because I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, I agree with what Jamie Carragher said, to be honest. I don't know if you saw it on Sky, what he said the other day, or if anyone saw what he said about it.
What Glenn Hoddle said? Or Jamie Carragher?
No, Jamie O'Hara said.
Oh, no, I didn't catch his. I saw what Glenn Hoddle said. Glenn Hoddle was absolutely furious, I think, with the VAR lines.
Oh, well, I agree everything with what O'Hara said, to be honest. It needs to be scrapped. Wiley, can you stop?
Take it easy, Ryan. Take it easy. It's okay. It's all right, my man. It's all right, my man.
Yeah, she nearly just dropped my phone, literally, and I don't want to be smashing it. Yeah, so no, I mean, with what Jamie O'Hara said, I think VAR just needs to be scrapped, and that's all I really want to talk about VAR, because it's, to be honest, it's a shit show. The way that the VAR's gone.
Was it doomed
to be honest.
from the beginning for you? Was it doomed for the beginning for you, or?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. When I heard it was first coming into the Premier League, I thought at first before we had VAR, right, on the first day of that opening day of that season, right, I thought, okay, well, we saw how it worked at the World Cup, and I thought, okay, well, if it works as efficiently and as everything else, whatever you want to call it, I can only think of the word efficiently at the moment. If there's any other better adjectives that you can think of, please let me know. But efficiently is the word I'll use. If it had worked as efficiently as it did in that World Cup, I would have been more than happy to have kept it. But because it hasn't, I don't see the point in even having it, because it's just ruining games. I'd rather be calling the referee one of these every weekend. You know,
do you feel like referees have become worse because of VAR? It feels like maybe they've even now relied upon VAR to get out of certain situations.
A bit like FIFA. They're both rigged. And UEFA, to be honest, it's a rigged machine. And then I believe what Dave said, it's rigged. It's absolutely 210% rigged.
Mm-hmm.
They want all the best teams to have all the They want to keep everything open until the last day, and they're trying to screw us over, right? But I don't think it's just an Arsenal fan behind it, though, Jack. I think there's a.
What did you make of the fact that it was? What did you make of the fact it was the same VAR, or the referee in that game was the VAR referee in the Liverpool final?
Well, when I found that out from when Dave said it, I was like, typical. I think. Do you know
He
what?
even had a gooner smirk. If anything, he had a gooner smirk on his face.
Nah. Do you know what? I think it's worse than that. I think he's a bubble blower and an Arsenal fan. Really?
Bubble blower and an Arsenal fan at once. Absolutely, probably so. Nick Coupland, just maybe last question here, Ryan. Nick Coupland saying, too many of our players need Haribos and cuddles, weak mentality with no backbone. All the players not going to the World Cup should go work with the Royal Marines for 2 weeks. That will sort them out. I mean, they should just go work with Antonio Conte. I think Antonio Conte wants to take them to like some far off land or something where he goes and trains in the trenches. I think, Nick, is where they're going to go. But what do you make of this, Ryan? You know, the past few games, is it the players just giving up on Conte, or is it something else? Last question.
No, you know what, right? I want to talk about where they should go and work with Royal Marines. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think they should work for the Royal Marines. I think they should come to yours for 2 weeks, Jack, and you sort them out, mate.
You think I would sort them out?
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I think Moon Boots, right, should take advice off of you and Dave. Do you know what, right? I'm calling out Moon Boots now, right? I'm actually going to call him out. Start performing, right? Or you're going to have a problem, because at the end of the day, I will literally tell Dave to jump in front of the queue for you. And you know what? So perform or get out of our club is literally what I'm trying to say. One of the two. And Levy, you better make sure it happens as well, mate. Because if you don't, you're going to have not just me. You're not going to have Daniel. You'll probably Brian Daigle, sorry, right? You're going to have literally a lot of people on your back in January. Get him out of the club. And Ben Davis. And, well, don't even start me with Doherty. Get him out as well, please. Please, Levy, get him out. They don't need the Royal. Send them anywhere. I don't care, Levy. This is me calling you out now, Daniel. Get them out in January, or we riot.
Well, lots of things need to be done in January. I'll tell you that, Ryan. Very, very delicate month. Can I get a score prediction from you, Brian?
A score prediction. You know what, Jack? It's difficult to say, because do you know what? I'm gonna say a 1-1 draw. I'm sorry,
1-1
but
draw. I mean, that's not good for the motivation. That's not good for the heartstrings. I'll tell you that. 1-1 draw, though, it is.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, because look at our defense, Jack. At the end of the day, I don't want to be putting down anything. I don't want to be putting a dampener on the Spurs fans, right? And everything. It's just I'm looking at it I was wearing my sparkly, bubbly, googly specs before, right, when we were winning, and it was just papering over the cracks. Now I'm looking at it since we've been on this bad run of form, right? Conte needs to stay as well, Levy. That's another thing. He needs to stay at whatever cost. And the Kane contract, you better make sure, right, he gets that new contract and a deal, right, that he wants, right? Because if Mbappe can run the club, how about you give him a contract where he tells you what transfers he wants in and out, Levy? How about that?
No. Well, 1-1 it is, Brian. Levy getting called out in January. Plenty more probably to come from you next time. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, it's good, Jack.
Alrighty, catch you soon, brother. See you, Ryan. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Alrighty, everybody. We're going to go on to Daniel next. See what Daniel Højbjerg, Daddy Højbjerg has to say about this one. Daniel, save me here. What do we have to say about this Bournemouth game? Or do you still have kind of some grievances about Sporting? Take it away, Daddy Højbjerg.
Well, about Sporting, I mean, not much have what has already been said.
Yeah.
It's the biggest disgrace of decision I've ever seen, probably will ever see. There's
What
even
did you
a
make of my
pitch.
question earlier? Have
Yeah.
the players stopped playing for Conte, or is it just something else,
That,
like they've just lost form or something like that?
well, you never know with these players, But that's what I thought in the first half against Sporting. It's like, look like they're not playing for him right now. And if that's the case, then what's going on?
Yeah.
But I don't think they will, because I think they seems to love him. They seems to love Conte. They always said that they really like him and want to play for him. So
It feels like it would be a bit weird that they would all of a sudden just sort of turn around on him, right, and kind of
yeah,
stab him in the back in that sort of manner. But then again, we've sort of have seen it before from certain players, I think, still left in this
yeah,
team.
that's
But
true.
Bournemouth tomorrow, is it just must win? Because I mean, when we're hearing 1-1 draw, I'm kind of just like, oh, geez, like that just feels as bad as a loss. You might as well just,
Yeah.
smack me in the face, with a loss then, Daniel, if it's a 1-1 draw. Can Antonio Conte turn it around against Bournemouth? But is there something tricky about this fixture? Is it an easy one for us? Is that naive to say it's easy? How do you feel about this one? Because it feels like the right game to get back on track, but it can be slippery, I guess.
Yeah, it's away, right? Is that Bournemouth?
It's away, yeah.
Okay, so it's and all Premier League games are tough anyway. And I don't
Mhm.
know how they really play right now. I haven't seen them at all, so I can't say how they play, or if they just are like those big physical team like West Ham almost, but not much quality. But if we can't beat them, then there's no hope. There's no hope.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
I mean,
think that
there's no.
it is sort of like
Yeah,
it even has been the team, like, what is it? Liverpool beat them 9-0. I think,
yeah,
granted, it was at home. It has been sort of the team that everybody has used as sort of a pick-me-up, if anything. They've actually been the doctor this season, right? If you need to get your
yeah.
ailments fixed or, and your problems fixed, maybe go to Bournemouth. But after they sacked Scott Parker, though, actually things were going quite well for them, and they went on a 6-game unbeaten run. In fact, Daniel, which is actually
Wow.
for I think any team is pretty
Yeah.
good. Like when you really look at it, I mean, any team would be happy to go on a 6-game unbeaten run. And they've just at least made games a lot closer. I didn't catch that West Ham game, but I heard there were a lot of VAR controversies in that one, which then made me think that it probably was a closer game on paper then if West Ham got away with it in VAR. I'm only speculating, like I didn't actually watch the game. Because when I saw Bournemouth versus West Ham, believe me, Daniel, I was like, might as well
Yeah.
just go on a walk and, go and, hang out with the missus.
Yeah,
But what do you
exactly.
make of the fact that they went on that, manager bounce, is like we like to say, a really good manager bounce, but now they've lost the past 2 games. So are they better than maybe what they were originally? Have they gotten better? What do you make of that?
I don't know, really. It's hard to tell. I mean, you saw even with Aston Villa after Steven Gerrard, they won was up 4-0, 20 minutes. So it's always like that manager bounce. Who is managing them? Is it a caretaker manager? It's like,
Yeah, I think it's Gary O'Neill is his name or something,
I
maybe.
don't know. But no,
You don't
it's
need to
just,
know.
it's not, I don't think they're any better, really. It's just that more freedom, maybe, something like that. But I don't know too much.
Isabel, oh God, Dr. Bournemouth versus Dr.
Yeah,
Tottenham.
there you go.
Who's gonna fix who? Who's gonna help who? Jason,
I wouldn't go on an appointment. Let me tell you that.
definitely.
Yeah.
But everybody's gonna book an appointment against these two.
Oh,
But
God.
do you want to talk about maybe some of the changes that Conte can make? Perhaps Hill Messi coming into this game. Is he deserving of a start? Do you give him another chance off the bench? Is it silly to not start him? How do you see it, kind of, Daniel? Does he have to start, or do you kind of play him off the bench maybe again?
Well, if it is between him and Lucas, then he has to start.
And if he wants the 3-4-3.
Yeah, because you saw, I mean, against Sporting when he came on, there's the life switch, and we just was so impressive after.
It did feel that way. You're right.
Yeah, it was so nice to see. And if we can start, he can run at Bournemouth because he can be the tricky guy against them to create problems. Sort of like that Messi. Hey, Joe Messi. There you go. Hopefully.
Hopefully, and certainly I feel like Hill
And also,
Messi.
he seems to have he like his crosses, his left crosses, kind of reminds me of Kulusevski a little bit. I
That's what
gotta
I
say.
was about to
Yeah,
ask you. You got to the point I was about to get to there, Daniel, where it felt like he was doing more what Kulusevski would have maybe been doing for us instead of what Lucas was doing. Like Lucas just
yeah,
wasn't really providing anything that Kulusevski was bringing down that right wing. Whereas when Brian Hill came on, he was kind of whipping those balls into the box. He was cutting inside. He was just being more creative, just simply just simple, just more creative than
yeah,
like a Kulusevski would have been.
yeah. It's just so nice to see, and no, he deserves it now, of course. So
Yeah. What do you make of the fact that as well that Conte's words today were exceptionally kind, if almost too
oh wow,
kind? Like as much as I love to hear it, like as much as I love to hear these words, Daniel, about the prophecy of Hill Messi, these are quite generous, I must say. And he has, let's be honest, called Eric Dyer very nice things before, so he could be maybe playing to the crowd a bit. But he said, I believe in Hill. Otherwise, I don't risk a player like that in the Champions League. I try to find the right moment for when he can be useful for the situation. I have seen good improvement. I am sure about Hill's future because we are talking about a player who sees and understands football. If I have to compare Hill with somebody, maybe I can see him like a Bernardo Silva at City. For me, in this moment, physically, though, he is not strong. But we are talking about that sort of player, that type of player. I mean, he obviously, as he should and as he needs to mention, he needs to improve the physicality. But I mean, talk
yeah.
about a compliment there, Daniel.
Yeah, that's one of the best compliments a player like him can get because Bernardo Silva is
He's world class, I think,
he's
sometimes on his
absolutely
day.
and he can play everywhere, So if he can be like that, then yes, please. But also with Conte, there's no filter with him, so I don't think he just talks out of his ass. I think he speaks with truth, all the time he talks. So I do believe him.
So even when he was kind of being very nice to Eric Dyer and whatnot, you
Yeah,
think that that's not him going stretching it a bit to compliment Dyer or anything? It's him just in the moment. That's just how he's feeling, kind of sort of situation. Maybe it's vibes.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't drop him, so he seems to
True.
love him. So, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
so
If he
still
doesn't
there.
drop him, he is his mainstay. You're right.
Yeah, I mean that's bizarre, but hey,
What's the story here? Let me know what you think of this. This is the Outlet, Dave's Outlet, saying Spurs to thump Bournemouth 4-0. Draw then in France, though, and then beat Liverpool. Now, that is Spursy. So basically, flying form in the Premier League. But we actually get knocked out of the Champions League and basically lose it all together. I mean, that is the definition.
That's depressing.
That's depressing. That's how you look at that. Would you rather lose maybe one of these games? If I mean, you want to win all three.
We want to
but
win.
Would you rather lose to Liverpool or something? And
I mean, we can't go out in the Champions League. All that work from last season, waste of time. If you go now, if you go out in the group stage, that can't happen. But after Lloris said, "Oh, it's going to be like a final," I'm like already accepting defeat now. Oh, he should never have said that word. Thank you.
I didn't hear what you say, but but I feel like it is a bit Spursy. It's obviously the word we don't like to use, but it certainly would be. And I agree with you there, Daniel, that like it's just all that work is just undone. All that good work is undone. And it would just be for all of a waste. And it would just it would be a bit depressing, in fact, to just see us kind of have all those bragging rights about the Champions League and everything only to be knocked out in the group. Are you a bit frustrated that it has gone to the last game, or did you see it maybe going to the last game?
No, I'm extremely frustrated. We should be, in my opinion, quite comfortable here.
Yeah.
I don't think.
So was it like was it the Sporting game that maybe hurt us the most? It feels like it was maybe that game, that Sporting game away from home, that hurt us the most. To be fair, Sporting got 2 good results against us. So that's what really maybe hurt us. It's just simply Sporting. I think it was them that basically made it so that we're kind of stuck in this situation. With Frankfurt 0-0 away from home, that crowd as well, back from, I think, the North London derby. I think when I looked at that game, we just needed to finish. Like, it actually was. The rest of the team actually played quite well. Apart from Kane, Son, and Richie, they just couldn't finish like that day. They had all the service in the world, just couldn't finish. But when you look at it, it feels like the games that probably hurt us was those 2 Sporting games.
Yeah, away from home, struggles. So
then going into Marseille, how do you feel then, my man? I mean, no evidence to suggest that we can cope with that sort of atmosphere or that sort of situation away from home in Europe. No Antonio Conte as well for that game. I mean, do you agree with Wesley Johnson from earlier? Wesley Johnson is saying we have to win tomorrow because then that way we can have at least a bit of confidence going into Marseille.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, confidence, so especially with this team, is so important in my opinion. If they're down on confidence, there's really no hope. But it's not time to see if there's some backbones in some of these players, to see if they can handle that hostile crowd, because I heard it's pretty bad over there. So it needs to happen. They need to step up now.
Yeah, they definitely do need to step up. Absolutely, Daniel. Kind of 2 more questions I got for you, my man. One of them is kind of this Harry Kane contract situation. Is this something you want to read into, or is it really kind of what you expected, that it was delayed until after the World Cup? I did feel like I heard him in the past say something in some sort of interview. I think because he was interviewed in the Champions League when playing against Frankfurt. He was alongside Antonio Conte. And I think when asked about contract or something like that, he was like really more focused on Spurs right now, really more focused on the World Cup. Once the World Cup is over, I think he said something like that, then I might think about my future like a bit more. Like, and is that maybe justification for that? Or is this a bit odd that maybe he's decided to wait this long? How do you look into it? How do you see it?
Well, I see, of course, him and Conte being sort of
patient
contract. Yeah. No, being like together on almost.
Do you see them doing, like crossing hands?
Yeah. I can see. I mean, yeah, but also I think, of course, World Cup. I think is going to be so focused on that, and so I can see that being the case. But it's hard. It's hard. I haven't really thought too much about the contract. I mean, so.
Be beautiful to see them, sign each other's contracts like that.
That's true.
Can I ask, in terms of tomorrow, Daniel, like just a few more questions, kind of quick and easy ones. 3-4-3, 3-5-2. What do you want to see?
Well, it's hard. It's difficult. I think 3-4-3 with Hill, Kane, and Son up top now. Especially if Kulu is still out, right? So. And then Rich, I don't know, when is he going to be back? He was promised to be back now.
I think it was like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, maybe, sort of situation. I think he was like basically like right on the edge of the World Cup, basically. I think when it'll be back.
Fine.
So, which is lucky for him, you could say, not as lucky for us. But ultimately, we're glad that it wasn't a serious injury there. And then, what's your sort of score prediction then for tomorrow, then, Daniel?
See, now I always like to be positive, but it's hard. But I'm gonna go 3-0. 3-0.
3-0. Okay.
Yeah,
that's what we need, Daniel. That's what we need.
And now, hopefully, Hill's first goal. That would be nice.
That would be brilliant, actually, to see a Hill Messi goal. That'd be absolutely brilliant, Daniel. We need it. I probably would break, the monitor and whatnot if I got a Hill Messi goal. If all the other goals have celebrated that way, to see that happen, I mean, the prophecy coming true would be absolutely glorious. I'm not sure if I've foreseen the prophecy of him scoring tomorrow. I feel like we might see Lucas again. Potentially, but I would love to see a bit of Hill Messi. I would, Daniel.
Yeah.
And also, I think Højbjerg as well. I think is kind of back in 100%. So in true Viking style, just needs a game, and then he's back to being 100%. Yeah. But Daniel, really appreciate you coming on, my man.
No problem.
All right.
Take care.
I'll be catching you. Take care, my man. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Big up, Daniel. Everybody show Daniel some love, please, in the chat. Kind of getting us back on the right track, Daniel was. Getting us right, talking good Spurs and talking all the good stuff ahead of the Bournemouth game, everybody. But next in line, I believe we have Mark New. Let me see if you're there, Mark. I can't see you. If you're there, Mark. Marky. Maybe not. Not there, Mark? Mark?
Yeah, guys, I'm here. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm back.
No worries,
Yeah,
Mark.
sorry
No
about that,
worries,
guys.
Mark.
Yeah.
How are you, my man?
Yeah,
And
my headphones.
okay, no worries at all. No worries at all. Just gonna get to maybe some of the comments then. Everybody wants to subscribe to Mia's channel. Mia, I think you're gonna have to make a channel of some kind. You're gonna have to put some links in there for people to subscribe to. You absolutely smashed it early. But Mark, if you can hear me, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm back there. So yeah, it's the mic's on. How's that? Is it better?
Sounded gorgeous,
Joe,
man.
How you doing, mate? How you doing since Wednesday?
To be honest,
How are you,
I responded to that result better than I thought I would. I don't think I was doing too well after Newcastle. I wasn't doing too well after Man United. I wasn't doing too well after the Sporting first half. I think if anything, I think a lot of people had seen me maybe get my angriest in a long time after that Sporting first half. But the way we responded in the second half and the way that we just, I guess, kept it all together, I guess, got a semblance of a result, gave me a bit of something to hold on to, which is, the classic Spurs fan. If you give me a nibble, if you give me a crumb, I will hold on to it, Mark. But how did you feel after that Sporting game? Is it hard to recover, or are you still optimistic?
Well, it was difficult. It was difficult in different ways. I mean, there's two key points. I obviously agree, especially with what Mia said. Bang on, she's absolutely 100%, and I think Daniel, other people have said as well. I think the first thing to say about the result, we should have put them to the sword. It should have been 3-1, 4-1. We should have hammered them. We should have absolutely been out of sight. It shouldn't have gone to a last-minute VAR. Obviously his moon boots was with his, I mean, okay, you can miss one, you can miss two, but to miss three, and especially he could have booked his place for the World Cup. He could have seen, he must know he's under pressure with the fans right now. He could have put everything right by at least getting one of them in. And to miss each of them, that really was, whether it was confidence, whether it's quality, yeah. There's different stuff in there, but I mean, but how shall I put it? We should have been out of sight in that game. I mean, the first half was poor, but second half we should have absolutely been out of sight.
Did you agree with Mia, like when she said that even though there was the Varsical decision made at the end there, it's like we shouldn't behave like, the lot down the road and, make that her whole, book of excuses. I love what she said there. They whip out the bolt. They do, they go to chapter 12 of their book of excuses. And, we shouldn't stoop to those levels, right, Mark, where ultimately you have to look the second half. We missed some sitters even before that. Like we missed good chances. So it felt like Spurs should have, dead and buried them with the way they were playing in the second half. And if you're leaving it to the last depths of the game, especially with a referee like that, who we found out the history there as well, there's no way we're going to get a favor. No way we're going to get a favor. In fact, we didn't take advantage of the favors we were given earlier. We didn't take our chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's true, as I say. Exactly. I agree. Well, exactly, mate. 100%. I mean, how shall I put it? In terms of things with the optics, there's various ways to review it. But how shall I put it? We could have said to them, you know what, with your VAR, stick your offsides. Is it in? Is it in? Is it millimeters in, millimeters out? We'll still knock 3 or 4 past you because we're the better team. It should have been as simple as that. It should have said, you know what, you want your lucky VAR? That's the Woolwich. That's them lot down the road. They want to whine. They're the kids. We're the men. We're grown up. We're the adults. We're the adults in this place. We could have done. We should have absolutely hit them. But obviously, how should I put it? Just to say, the small footnote about the VAR. I mean, just very, very quickly, because I think
let me hear it.
Have said very quickly. Obviously, I was watching on BT Sport. And obviously, is our man Hoddle. He was the only one in the panel who was saying, look, the moment it takes 4 minutes on a 30-second decision, it doesn't matter what they come up with. It's shit. They're just trying to cover their own backs. 4 minutes on a 30-second decision. Absolute crap. Doesn't matter how much they try and explain it. They try and, oh, it's this. And I saw this one on like Sky Sports. The guy's trying to show rule 11.1, rule 11.2. Fuck you, mate. If you can't explain it in a simple, easy way. But sorry for the language, but I'm sure everyone's getting it.
No, I think that's what Glenn Hoddle was feeling, really. Because it means it's not clear and obvious, Mark. If you're taking 4 or 5 minutes, it means you're drawing the line the right way you want to see it. And also the way the referee was smirking at the end of the game.
That was the thing. I mean, in terms of the referee needs to be neutral. And when the referee is like smiling and smirking, and it's like, and I think I'm trying to see in terms of with Conte, has actually clarified why he was given the red card. Because my understanding is I think that the whole of the team, the whole of the bench was on the pitch. He looked around, he wanted to book someone. He said, right, who can I book? And he can see he wants his limelight. The ref wants his 15 minutes of fame, his 15 minutes on TV. He wants to be famous. And he said, right, who can I book? Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll book Conte. And he wants to get his name in the papers, get his 15 minutes of fame. It's absolute rubbish in that. I think all that Conte said is, how is that offside? Or at least what's the explanation? So I think my understanding is, because unfortunately I wasn't in the crowd, my understanding is the crowd who were really upset, no one had given the explanation why it's offside. Yeah. And I mean, the one thing, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen the photos running around, all the memes going viral on Twitter. They showed the photo they're showing on BT Sports. They show Harry in front of the defender, but they don't show the defender's foot. The moment they bring the camera around and you see the 2 foot, so you see Harry's foot. I know that leaked image, that leaked photo. That's it. It's a big yellow mark around it where the guy is posted and saying, "Mate, look, it's clear. It's absolutely clear as day. The feet are side by side."
Spot on, Mark. You're spot on. Also, I think as well, there was another image. Is like not only that one with the yellow circle you're absolutely right about, but also I think there is that image of where they looked at it from like Kane's angle, where Emerson heads it down. And you see that player's arm flop like that, like immediately as well, which sort of makes you think whether that was intentional or not. Did seem a bit suspicious. His hand just kind of goes like that, and it bounces off the player's head.
Oh, there's one. It was just.
He just flopped his hand like that. Bounces off the hand to what they thought was a millimeter offside Kane, and just give the benefit of the doubt. Just give the benefit of the doubt for this sort of situation. And it almost felt like it's one of those where it does actually call. As much as they say, oh, well, that's the rules, I feel like it was human interpretation, because it's like when you look at the real angles that they were able to find, is that really offside? We're not sure. Also, when did it really leave Emerson's head? As well. The other thing, too, is Kane behind the ball? Also, do you actually look at that handball? Do you have to look at that? Do you have to consider that as well? Just felt like it did end up being human interpretation. So why is it then that they have to intervene? Because the referee originally gave it. The referee originally stood. It wasn't one of those where the referee, let's say the referee ruled it out and then blew his, and then they were like, well, maybe he has a point here. Maybe it was offside. It wasn't one of those. The referee let it stand. He thought it was a goal, and then they call it back. That's where I also agree with Conte, Mark. Would that happen in another stadium? I would ask you that. Does that happen somewhere else? Does that happen to a Bayern Munich? Does that happen to a Real Madrid?
Anfield or Old Trafford? Exactly. They wouldn't dare.
They wouldn't do it to Liverpool. They wouldn't do it to Liverpool.
I mean, exactly. I mean, you've seen there's a wonderful comment with Mia just saying as well, there should simply be a time limit. Whether you either have a time limit, look, clear and obvious means 60 seconds, or whether you want to give them a 60. And if you can't show it's clear and obvious in 60 seconds, mate, you're talking rubbish. It's not clear and obvious. Let the goal stand. And I think my understanding is the benefit needs to be in favour of the attacker, unless it is 100% clearly offside. Is it whether it's someone's toenail, someone's eyelash, someone's hair from his knee? I mean, no, rubbish.
I mean, they wouldn't do it at Arsenal as well, like DJ
No
Samuel
way,
is.
no
I
way.
mean, Arsenal, it'd be the other way around, actually.
Exactly. Yeah.
If anything,
It's
they would have
true.
ruled it offsides at
Yeah,
Arsenal,
yeah.
and then they originally the lino would have ruled it offside. Then at Arsenal, they would actually say, you know what, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to make sure
Yeah.
that actually that
Yeah.
he made the right decision there. You're absolutely right, Mark, and you're absolutely right there, DJ Samuel. But let's talk about Bournemouth here, Mark. What did you make of my sort of weird conundrum with that manager bounce that they had and whatnot? They went 6 games unbeaten.
Exactly. It's very rich. And especially with Scott Parker, it's not as if Scott Parker is actually a bad manager. He's a decent manager. He's a nice guy, decent guy, organises them well. Whether it was just, I think as people said, it's a player power. The players, for some reason, they wanted to change. Maybe they wanted, let's say, to flex their muscles as players. Maybe they want a bigger contract. They want more money. Whatever the reason, they wanted him out. And if the players want a manager out, unfortunately, in the present game, that's what happens. So is that?
Right.
But I think, as I say, in terms of Bournemouth, they're a decent team. They're not bad. I think, as Rufus, other people have said with Spurs, with any game we play, there's no easy games. But come on, against Bournemouth, I think whatever happens, I think, you know what, we're going to go there. But the key thing is, even Conte, who's admittedly hasn't been 100% on rotations, knows he's got no chance. He's got to rotate. He's got to rotate for Saturday. And I think, obviously,
for Tuesday. Tuesday.
Yeah, because I think the main thing is he obviously needs to rest players before Tuesday. Whether he's going to play both Harry and Sonny, or at least give them a rest for half the game, play them one half and play the other half. At least they need a break. But I'd love to see Gil Messi and Spence on the pitch at the same fucking
because of that
time.
rotation. Because of that rotation, we get maybe this chance. I'm loving this, Mark. So we actually could potentially. There is some logic, even if Conte is gritting his teeth right now at the opportunity. He might have to make that sort of rotation where Hill comes in and perhaps a Jed Spence comes in as well.
That is exactly it. And I think, as people have said, I'm sure other people have said in other different shows as well. People have said in terms of Harry's form and Sonny's form, they've been marked off the pitch. You look at Sonny, he's got like 4 players around him. Harry's got 4 players around him. Why is that? Because if Emerson's got the ball, would you bother marking him? If Lucas has got the ball, it's a waste of time. They don't bother marking him and just say, you know what, you have the ball, keep it, mate. Let you have it. He's gonna run it. He's gonna run over. He's gonna fall over, bump into someone, lose the ball.
That's why it feels a bit hard to say that Sonny is underperforming right now. Because if anything, when I'm watching the game, Mark, I feel like his first touch is fine right now. His ability to get past his man is fine right now. He's doing all the right things. I think he's not finishing in the same way that we'd like him to. But you really look at it, it just feels harsh to say he's underperforming. It feels harsh to say that. Because everything on paper, when you actually watch him play, everything looks good. Maybe until that final finish or whatever it is. But also, like you said, the service hasn't exactly been the greatest either. And also, it's not easy when you have 5 men around you pulling at your kid. They all want a piece of Sonny as well, it feels like, too, when they're pulling at him.
Exactly. And I mean, the thing is, I know, as I was saying, in terms of Gil Messi, I'd love to see on the same pitch at the same time, Gil Messi and Spence. Now, I think my understanding is with Gil, he played both wings. People have said this, or is he just on one wing? Because if it's possible, if you stick him on one wing, stick Spency on the other wing, and literally 2 of them just run at them, and they won't know what's happening. They won't know what's happening, and you've got 2 runners going at them. They will give so much space for Harry and Sonny. They'll say, "Wow! All of a sudden, we're getting service. We've got space. Come on, can we play this every week, please, mate?" They're going to love it.
Yeah. Do you feel like, as well, Hill, does he provide maybe a version of what Kulusevski provides? Like, can he basically do a job for the time being until Kulusevski comes back, in your eyes? Like, maybe better so than maybe Mora does. Can he maybe do a better job at right wing than Mora can, do you think?
Yeah. I'm 100%. I agree 100%. I mean, same to say with Lucas. Obviously, with Lucas, he's 100% Tottenham. Is DNA to Tottenham. We love the player. There's always the glory night in Amsterdam, but in terms like a squad player in the dressing room, there's a very valid place for, maybe say, as an ambassador, or let's say to make up the numbers as a squad player. But if you need someone to come off the bench and you want someone to rely on, you can't rely on Lucas. He's an amazing guy. He loves the shirt. He loves the fans, but he's not, unfortunately, an elite Champions League player anymore. We've got to
We've
face
almost outgrown
facts.
Lucas, like someone said before the other night. Outgrown him. Yeah. I agree with you.
So that's with that. I think obviously people have said the January window. The January window is absolutely crucial. Well, I think in terms of two things, because obviously in terms of the game on, obviously I think it's Saturday. Saturday we need the bounce. We need to get game time for Spencer and Spence and Brian.
Yeah.
I think as people said, if anyone talked about Sarr yet, is it too early to give Sarr a bit of game time?
I would love to see Sarr come in.
Mate?
Do you know where I've stood on that one? I'm not really as panicky about it as other people because I feel like he was on loan right at Mets last season. And I guess because maybe they knew he was going to Spurs, they didn't play him very much. And so then he's kind of come to Spurs here. And I feel like he's technically been a Spurs player, but like we've never really seen him near the training ground. He hasn't lived in London. He hasn't even been given the chance to really learn English. I think either, or at least in the more of an assimilated sort of way, instead of just hitting the books. I feel like I just want to see him just kind of. It sounds silly and it sounds privileged to say this. Honestly, it sounds like the best job in the world, Mark. But I feel like I just want him just to hang out at Spurs and just get to know the club, get to know the players, learn from Højbjerg, learn from Basuma as well, a player who's had a similar pathway, who's gone from, I believe, Africa to then Liga. They both went from Africa to Liga, then from Liga to the Premier League. He could learn from Basuma, learn from Skippy, a kid similar to his age as well. I just feel like I just want him just to hang out at Spurs and like be a Spurs player. And even that means just sitting on the bench every game, like Brandon Austin does, and players like that. I just think it's okay. I ultimately think he's 19 or 20 as well. Like I just don't really. It's not. I'm not panicking, if that makes any sense as well.
100%, mate. Yeah, that's true.
What's your score prediction? What were you about to say? You're about to say something.
Sorry. Score prediction. I think Bournemouth. I reckon 3-0. I reckon we're going to be there. I need a 3-0. How should I put it? In terms of Hugo, I think there's sensitive questions. What I'd love to see in terms of with Forster.
Would you rotate Forster? Yeah.
Well, in terms of Forster, at some stage he's going to need a game, whether he comes on in a cup game. But at some stage, Hugo ain't going to play every single game. So Forster needs a game, at least stick him in, let's say, half-time. At Bournemouth, I'm going to say if we're 2-0 up, we're winning the game, bring on Sarr the last 15 minutes and bring on Forster the last 15 minutes. And at least give him, at least in fairness, the guys, give them a touch to the ball, see what it's like in a real game, rather than on the training pitch. They both need a little bit of game time, but real game time. Because it may come a situation we may not have the choice. We may all of a sudden with the World Cup, who knows what's going to come back with injuries, who's happening. And the more game time now, and we've got the choice, then we're not suddenly throwing them in as a desperation.
What I've kind of got from this, Mark, and it's been a great call, I must say, what I've really got from this is that this is an opportunity for Conte to rotate, and he needs to see it as an opportunity because he has big games coming up. He has Marseille, he has Liverpool. Players are starting to get, a bit fatigued. He's even admitted there's been a bit of fatigue in the squad. There's been a bit of fatigue injury. This is the chance for him to show a bit of bravery and also a bit of trust, a bit of trust in these players.
100%. I mean, I'm not sure if people have said, because obviously the whole situation with the Marseille game, my understanding is they faced a partial ban because of the crowd trouble at the last game. I think one of their stands is going to be down. So I mean, they should have. I think my understanding is they should have really had it. It should have been behind closed doors. But but I think at least one stand is down, so it's not quite as bad.
Okay.
As we thought. But I think the other thing is also one stand is banned, but they're in effect what it is, they want a yellow card. So if they misbehave on a ban, then I think that there'll be then I think whatever happens, the UEFA can't hide behind the rule, but they have to throw the they will have to throw the puck at them. So I think that I think they'll be loud, but I think they'll have to be a little bit careful as well.
Interesting. So we'll get a bit more of a tame Marseille. That'd be nice.
There'll be different stuff. There'll be all different stuff to play for. But I think opposite. But I think also the second thing most people haven't said before. Conte's in the stands, and I think it's obviously, and there's still an appeal, hopefully, to go through. Whether we'll appeal it or not, because my understanding is if we lose the appeal, it may go badly for us. Because at the moment he's banned for 1 game. If we lose the appeal, maybe we may lose him for 2 games.
Yeah. No, that is certainly, and I think that's why they're just avoiding the appeal altogether. They just we'll just take it. We'll just take the punishment right now. You're absolutely right,
that may
Mark.
But sorry, it's very quick. Sorry, just go. It's a very
go ahead, please, Mark. Please.
Quick thing. In terms of Tuesday night, Conte's in the stands. Does that mean so?
Can we do a laundry hamper sort of situation, Jose Mourinho style? I tweeted this today. The kit man's going to need in top form for that. The kit man's going to need to be in top form. Can he find the right laundry hamper? Enough kits to put in there? Is Conte? He's not the biggest of guys either. You could kind of sneak him in that laundry hamper. I think. Could we do it?
Possibly. Well, as I say, in terms of things, let's say there's IT. We got mics. There's going to be mics in there. Whether there's going to be some coded signals somewhere. There's going to be some Morse code. There's going to be some. There's going to be some secured encryption, all different stuff flying around. But obviously, the key thing is who's going to be choosing the bench on Tuesday night. So does that mean someone else is going to be choosing the bench? And if someone else chooses the bench, does that mean Spence is going to play the game, or at least play the second half?
That's an interesting thought, Mark. I think Spence, it's more Bournemouth. This game is where he's getting his chance. I think he is going to get his chance. Marseille, it's almost like he hopefully should be saving the big guns. I don't know whether that means Doherty or Emerson. I think Mia would both say they're both not big guns. Let's say whichever ones he wants to pick there. But I hope the kit man is maybe going up to Conte's office and saying, you know what? He could maybe just offer it to him, saying, you know what, I'm willing to risk it. I'm willing to do it. And I think that would be brilliant if Spurs pulled off something like that. Because I know Antonio Conte is probably considering it. If anything, he's drawn the tactics of how to get into the Marseille stadium, back entrances, all that sort of stuff. I would think, Mark, the framework, the blueprint of the stadium.
Exactly. I mean, if you think this about with Conte, he's not that tall. He's actually saying he's like stocky. He's not that tall. I feel like he could get in a nice like crumpled position, right? I say like Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12. They put the guy on his big roll-away suitcase, just like wheeled him in. Wheeled him in.
That's what I think. I think the players should be looking at Marseille tactics and maybe watching a few Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12 to sneak their manager in, because they certainly need him. But Mark, I really had a great time having this convo with you. Appreciate you, my man. All righty. And 3-0, you said, right?
I think in terms of 2 games, I reckon 3-0. 3-0 Saturday, Tuesday night, 2-1 to Tottenham. In Conte we trust. Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, Mark! Come on, absolute class call, Mark. Come on, everybody, show Mark some love. What a call in, everybody! That's the energy we need. Friday vibes. Who's loving that? Everybody, show Mark some love. I really enjoyed that combo, but I have a good one lined up after this. And everybody, I'm going to keep bringing up your comments on screen. I'm going to keep also as well bringing the questions to the panelists here, but I am on my own right now. So if you do want to skip the queue, feel free to throw in a super chat. You also, if you are a member, you can throw in a member super chat as well. I'm going to try to keep an eye on those as best I can, because I can see Moondog has been a member for 12 months, and he says, "Good afternoon, Jack. We will win 2-0 and no dire bets from now on." Absolute legend, Moondog. And sorry I got to that a bit late. I just was kind of keeping the conversation going there for a second. But everybody, like I said, please feel free to throw in your member super chats if you have them. I'm going to keep an eye on them, and also as well keep getting your comments in to the panel here. But we're going to bring on our next guest out in Germany. Rufus, du bist auf Mut. Nochmal. Ich kann nicht hören. You did it again, Rufus.
It's beautiful here at the moment.
It looks beautiful.
It's like a summer's day, so I'm joining you actually from the balcony.
Looks gorgeous. I wish I was there with you, maybe cracking a few Pauliners, making fun of moon boots. It'd be nice. It looks like nice vibes. Oh, he's got the Augustiner. Good man. But Rufus, you've heard plenty of what we've had to say. where do you want to start? Do you want to kind
I
of get some
just want to
grievances out of the way
congratulate.
on Sporting? Do you want to talk about Sporting? Where do you want to go? Do you want to talk about Bournemouth? What do you want to talk about, my man?
First of all, I just want to congratulate Mark because it was
Love
super.
that call, right?
I agree with him on so many points. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought he was. That was. I must say, that was the best call I've ever had with Mark. I love talking to Mark, but that was brilliant. I mean, just from the beginning, I was loving everything he had to say, and he was enjoying also my bit of banter about sneaking in Conte. He had the right idea there when it's trying to sneak Conte into the game. What do you make of that? Maybe we'll start nice and easy. You think the kit man might be going up to Conte, Jose Mourinho, kind of a sneak into the Marseille stadium?
At minimum, there'd definitely be some like covert earpieces going into the dressing room somehow. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
And like even if he's in the VIP bar, like Conte will need to go to the toilet.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe he's just hiding in the loo. Maybe he's just hiding in the loo, and they all just go in there. You're absolutely right.
But just to touch on something what Mark said about it being, they quite often have one stand closed. Well, the game I went to, they had one stand closed, and the atmosphere is still mental. And it's actually
the Frankfurt fans were singing through the whole game as well.
France on Wednesday.
Frankfurt fans sung through the whole game as well, so I imagine the Marseille fans do the same thing. I imagine they're relentless.
It's also a holiday there.
Oh, that's not good.
It's a holiday there. They're going to be all in town drinking the whole day.
Oh no, the Cronenbergs are going to be flowing through them. The Cronenbergs are, but
they are tiny. They are tiny. It's the smallest bottle of beer I've ever drunk in my life. It was like.
It is definitely a taster, I'll tell you that.
I mean, then it was the pastis that like wiped you out.
Yeah, it's a sneak down Augustiner. What do you think? With Marseille, like they have actually made a bit of a comeback, let's say in the Champions League groups, don't you think? Like at first they started off a bit poor because we gave them a defeat. I think after that they didn't do so well, but now all of a sudden they've kind of delivered us some good results. They've helped us out a bit, and it kind of has come to the last game. I mean, this group, if anything, is probably kind of the neutrals' favorite because it really has come to the last day where even Frankfurt could get in if they're played their cards right tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but on Tuesday.
I'm not going to talk about. Everybody's covered the offside all the way. The only thing I say on it, if it takes 4 minutes, it's bullshit. It's like they were trying to find a reason to make it more exciting.
You agree with Hoddle? You agree with Glenn Hoddle then? That's what Glenn Hoddle's big thing was. It's not clear and obvious if it's taken more than 4 minutes.
But the standard of the refereeing was awful. I mean, like, I think Sung got barged off the ball, or was it Kane in the box, and they were looking for a penalty, and it wasn't a penalty. It was just a soft touch, and our player went down. And the referee waved it away, and I had to agree with the referee. And like 2 seconds later, exactly the same happens in the middle of the park, and it's a free kick to them.
Mm-hmm. It felt like, did you see the smirk he had at the end of the game? As well, Rufus. Like, I think that's where, do you know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of that Man City game. Remember the Man City game when Kane had the header? Yeah.
I'm sorry if there's going to be some swearing here, but Jacob turned around and said, "I don't care who the fuck you are, I'm going to find you and shit in your bed."
when he saw that smirk, I imagine probably said everybody.
He was so angry, but like it was the emotion of the moment because like we really.
Is that why Jacob hasn't joined us today? Is Jacob just still kind of recovering from it? Is Jacob still recovering emotionally?
He works behind the bar.
Good man.
One of the nicest bars in Freiburg, Pool Bar. Anybody ever goes to Freiburg, go to Pool Bar.
Okay, that's where I can find Lucas.
And anyway, like
Jacob,
we went mental when we scored, and then all of a sudden it was VAR. But the most annoying thing was not only did the referee smirk, he blew the whistle straight away at the end. Sorry, I think it was about 1:30 or something still to play.
Well, didn't they also take 5 minutes, like you said, Rufus? I thought that's supposed to be, added on as well when they take 5 minutes to look over the VAR decision.
And all of a sudden, it was like, no, game's over. That's it, done. All go home now. It was like, what?
Wanted to beat the traffic, I guess. Wanted to beat the London traffic.
I bet he was through the tunnel like a shot. I bet he was a full kit wanker getting into the car.
And what did you also make of the fact? Not only did he have the smirk, not only did he want to beat the traffic, Rufus, but also as well, It turned out he was in the VAR room that day in the UEFA Champions League final against Liverpool. He was the man that made the call to give Sissoko that handball for the penalty. So, I mean, you just almost put 2 and 2 together. Like, this guy is basically wearing a full kit, a Gooner kit, or maybe even an Ajax kit. Maybe he's wearing a full Ajax kit under there. You never know, Rufus. It really felt that way. I must say, like, once he had the smirk, it was the worst part. Du bist moved again.
I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened.
All good.
But no, he was awful. The referee was absolutely awful. I mean, like, he wouldn't award something. Also, for them, 1 minute like something happened, and he just sort of like waved to play on, and then exactly the same thing happened for the other team, and he was like, "Oh no, that's good." It was like, what?
Yeah.
2 seconds ago, that was okay, mate. You know, it was very strange refereeing. And
what did you make? Let's talk about maybe the goalkeepers here, Rufus. What did you make of that goal that we conceded? Did you feel like Hugo could have done a lot better there from that Marcus Edwards shot? And then also, are you considering maybe Forster for this game? Because Wembley has just asked me that, like, saying, would you favor Forster getting the start and goal tomorrow? Not even a question of dropping Hugo, but Fraser hasn't played a minute for us yet. He surely needs some game time. I'll take it a step further, Wembley. You're being very kind. I actually thought Hugo could have done a lot better on that Marcus Edwards shot. I am starting to think to myself, do you maybe throw Forster in there in a game like this against Bournemouth? I don't know. What do you make of that, Rufus? And also, what do you make of that, goal that we conceded? Am I being harsh on Hugo, or should he have saved that?
I'm sure there's a certain person in this world that will be tuning into this at some point or rewatching it, Shawnee boy, and I have to agree with him. Lloris is like a reactive goalkeeper. It was typical. It was a typical Lloris failure. The longer he has to think about it, the worse he does. He pulls off worldies in a split second. He'll pull off a worldie. It's just instinct. So he'll just pull off a worldie. I don't think.
Yeah, a snapshot he can save. A snapshot he can save. A header where he has to stick a leg out, all of a sudden he'll save. He'll make, as I like to even call it, Rufus, lack of a better term, a crack save is like what I like to call it.
Yeah,
is where it's just, something just out of nowhere where they just, stick a hand out and then, instant reaction. But it feels like if you make Lloris have to make a decision, he'll get it wrong. He'll get it wrong.
If you just float one in there or something, like the slowest shot in the world, like if you had the striker with the slowest shot in the world, you do really good against him week in, week out. Honestly, the more time he has to think about it, it's the worse he does. It's just sort of like, I don't know. Yeah, but he does do these world-class saves. I can't see anybody else saving.
Yeah. Even they say Romero also played a part in that. That's probably true, Philip. I'll have to take a look at that. I'm starting to kind of just forget that goal in general. Maybe it was because Marcus Edwards kind of skinned him originally. I'm trying to remember, but remind me there, Adam. But the way I looked at it too, though, I think Romero, has maybe started off that game a bit shaky, but I actually thought that was one of Romero's better games, actually. This season, because he actually made that one brilliant tackle at one stage as well, Rufus. I mean, just vintage Romero.
I thought, here we go. That's a yellow card.
And also the referee gives a yellow card for that, I believe, as well. Of course he did, after the most clean, the two cleanest tackles of the match. The two cleanest tackles.
As soon as he went in, I was like, yellow card. Champions League, that's a yellow card. Premier League, it's breakfast.
Standing ovation in the Premier League for that one, probably. Yeah. But you knew the referee was against us once he gave that, though. I must be honest. It was still so clean. But do you feel like Romero has been underwhelming this season? Like I said to Adam there, despite not maybe doing very well in that goal that we conceded, it kind of says a lot, I guess, if that's one of his better games, I thought, this season for Romero. He's been a bit underwhelming, maybe. What do you mean?
Hasn't been underwhelming for us this season, really?
That's a good question. Touche. They've all not met the expectations. They've all not met their expectations in some ways.
I mean, just the way the team finished last season, it's unbelievable how we're performing this season.
Mm-hmm.
That's without the added signings. Just those players, how they finished last season, not picking it up. But maybe you touched on it in the the last conversation when you're talking about Kane contract and he's got his mind on the World Cup. I think a few of the players are all actually a bit distracted, not just at Tottenham, across a lot of clubs.
Interesting. Do you feel like in fact the Kane sort of like contract negotiation, like it just came out today that he's not really touching that until after the World Cup? Is there something to read in there? Is there not something to read into that? What do you make of that, Rufus?
I don't think there's anything to read in it. I actually think that explains a lot of the performances. Apart from Son, I'd like to touch on that in a minute. But
Sure.
For a lot of players, I think not just at Tottenham, a lot of clubs, you know, they just seem to have a bit of an eye on the World Cup, and it does feel like one of them seasons, you know, like at the end of the season of the World Cup year, some players just sort of pull out a little bit, or
I'd kind of rather it be towards the end of the season than right now. It's a bit annoying then if it's like kind of in the beginning of the season, because this is when teams are supposed to be sprinting, Rufus, right? This is when you're supposed to be getting as much distance ahead of your rivals. You're supposed to be picking up as many points as possible. Then you get that break from the World Cup. And the players that have the privilege to play in it, of course, they're going to have to, put up another bit of effort. But that is the price that you pay for playing in those tournaments, right? I just find it to be, if anything, the way I sometimes see the World Cup, I think they're all absolutely allowed and should go. But it is always, I think, a bit of like, it should be like an extracurricular or something like that. It's just kind of like, it's not really what they're paid to do ultimately. Like they are paid to play for Spurs, and they are paid to achieve what Spurs. And when they are saving themselves for their country, I understand the reasoning. Believe me, I could see why someone would maybe think that way, but it is disappointing. It's a bit heartbreaking if that's the case. If it turns out to be true, then maybe players are saving those for the World Cup, because you want them right now to be sprinting. You want them right now to be getting as many points as possible, to be putting in their absolute all to get as high in the league, and also get to the round of 16 and all these things that we want before the World Cup starts.
I don't want it. I've got a horrible feeling we're going to parachute into the UEFA.
Yeah.
I've got a horrible feeling. It's just.
Are you frustrated that it's come down to the last game?
Yeah. Because it just gives so many possibilities, doesn't it?
Yeah. What did you make of Daniel Larson earlier? He said basically he would be heartbroken if we dropped out, because what's the point of all the digs that we've taken at the Gooners, and being in the Champions League and everything. He's just like, what's the point of all that hard work as well, only to drop out in the group stages?
It'll be awful. It will be awful. It will be awful, because we need to beat Marseille, and we need to do it convincingly. And one thing I've hated this season, we seem to give even shit teams too much respect.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Marseille are nowhere near us on our best day. Yet we seem to stand off them. Same with Sporting, same with Frankfurt. Yeah. Sorry, we got a better team. Well, on paper.
Yeah.
Better team, better manager on paper. So we.
At least the mentality should be that they're better. Even if they might not be, like in the case with Doherty and players like that, the mentality should be that they're better. They have a lot of players that should think that they're better. They've achieved a lot from last season. I'm with you there, Rufus. But Rufus, I think you wanted to say something about Sonny. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, like all this transfer talk and stuff like that. It's sort of like maybe, because I remember back in the summer we were talking a lot about the words from his dad. And Dark Sun G touched on it, like saying, yeah, like, but in Asia, when your father speaks, you listen to it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a bit of that going on. Maybe that's why he's been a bit sidetracked this season.
You think he's just been distracted by his dad? You're saying is some of the things his dad's been saying about him, or maybe some of the
like saying, if he wanted to be truly world class, he had to play for a world class club, which is rubbish. Actually, to be truly world class, you have to play for a world class manager, and Conte's one of them.
Mm-hmm. And perform, but he has been also last season. Like he performed at a world class level. Like I just find it. Yeah. It's he's just harsh. I think he's just harsh on him, and it feels weird to say that it would have taken a toll on Sonny. But I don't know. He has gone through a lot with his dad, so I feel like he has the thickest of skin when it comes to what he's heard probably from his dad before. But maybe you might be right. I feel like though, Rufus, he's been playing well, especially recently. His first touch has been fine, not giving it away as often. It's just that the service hasn't exactly been there. And also as well, like I think it was Mark who was saying like it's not easy also when you're surrounded by 4 or 5 players every time you receive the ball. Like it just feels like there's only so much he can do in certain games. I think he just
Yeah.
needs a bit more service and he needs more, time and space on the ball. I feel like he's doing okay with whatever service he's been given, actually.
I just think him and Perisic lack a bit of understanding between them. I don't know if that's something that's growing or not.
Mm-hmm. It's Perisic, you're saying?
Yeah. No, not that it's Perisic. Just that, like, I don't think they've got that
the right chemistry
yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something they're they're working on, and I'm a bit disappointed in Perisic because sometimes people say, you need winners and people with experience. I thought that's one of the grounds why we brought him into the team.
Do you think with Perisic though, like what's a bit frustrating, right, Rufus, is that he was supposed to kind of just come in and be a brilliant player going forward. Like I think we were willing to take the risks that maybe he might have had defensively, right? Like we all knew 33 or whatever he is. We knew he wasn't going to be the greatest defensively. It's never been his strength to begin with, but we thought he was going to sort of plug in and be absolutely terrific going forward. Doesn't feel like that's been the case.
I mean, I was licking my lips at the thought of having Perisic and Son on that side, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to be working or clicking between them.
Do you think then for that, with that in mind then, Rufus, would you then just go whichever player gets the best out of Sonny? In that case then, is it Ryan Sessegnon that's getting the best out of Sonny, would you argue? Or is it neither? Yeah, probably. It's Ryan Sess.
Yeah, if we could have the Son and Sess show that we had for the last games last season, I'd be well happy.
Definitely.
I have been hard in a couple of recent conversations with you guys and said, and it's a fact. If we sold the team tomorrow, a lot of players would be difficult to sell, and some players like Kulusevski, they're not even ours yet. So,
gotcha.
I have been a bit hard, but like at the same time, I didn't expect the team to perform so badly after the way it finished last season. Quite often when you find a vein of form, you carry that into the next season, and they did it in pre-season and everything. I saw no alarming signs or anything.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I feel like they're going to click together. And certainly, Bournemouth has been a bit of a Dr. Tottenham this season. It's been a bit of you go 3-4-3 tomorrow.
3-4-3. Brian Hill, Messi in for Kulu.
And also ahead of Lucas. Yeah, and ahead of Lucas.
He just got a bit of trickery in his feet and a bit of intelligence. I don't think, obviously, he's not as physical. He's not going to be as physical as Kulu, but I think he can still do those tricky balls.
Yeah. I think he just offers just more creatively in general. Just Rufus, I think it's just simple as than Lucas. I think he is that more of a player that has that just extra bit about him than I think Lucas does. If anything, I kind of agree with what someone said the other day. It feels like we sort of outgrown Lucas in certain manners, or he's kind of now at his limitations, or he has reached really his ceiling, and maybe Spurs have sort of kind of surpassed it, especially with what we saw Kulusevski give to us after what he's been able to show this team. We sort of realized Lucas is, really only a bit part player, I think now. And I think we're just going to let him see out the contract and see what role he can bring to us. But it feels like if Hill can offer more from that side, give chance to Hill to offer more from that side.
We've got Parrot and Divine. Like we're getting to a point now where we can't really keep loading them out anymore. They're getting too old for that. And they're supposed to be two massive talents. We've got to start bringing them into the squad,
Yeah, absolutely right.
And I think, if Hill can perform like he did in that last 15 minutes against Bournemouth, then he could slowly earn himself a place, at least to be competition or the substitution in a 3-4-3 that we need if Kulu needs a bit of a rest or gets a yellow card in a game, and you think, oh, I don't want to risk a red card, we put him, we substitute, And I'd like to see Hill get a chance there, definitely.
I want to see some Hill Messi. I feel like I'm fearful that it might come off the bench, but would love to see him start. I would just get goosebumps to see him start. Be so excited there, Rufus. But give me that score prediction, my man.
3-1.
3-1. I've heard, I think, 2 or 3 3-1s by now, so it seems to be the common one I'm getting. Why is that? Why is that the common one? Is that, and also, how are we conceding? I mean, maybe the goals seem, they can come from anywhere. But how are we conceding?
We concede for fun, so I had to throw that one in there.
We concede to NS Miro, we can concede to Bournemouth, I would say.
It's hard to say, but we do concede for fun. So,
yeah,
and when we concede, if you think about the last few games, there's not been that many like worldies gone in against us. It's like Ronald McDonald moments.
Especially more recently. Yeah, I agree.
The last few games, it's like all of a sudden at one point everybody's got their Ronald McDonald shoes on, and runs around in their clown shoes, and they shoot an easy. And the goals we've conceded are been stupid.
No, they're painful to watch. They're painful to watch, Rufus. Some of the goals we've conceded. You're right. But 3-1. I need that, and I would put that into my veins. I need it, Rufus. I need that 3-1. But really appreciate you coming on, and I wish you the best of your Friday, my man. Schönes Wochenende.
Du auch.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Rufus. See you soon, my man. Catch you, brother. Everybody show Rufus some love. And I need to see Jacob next time. I could tell he's hiding from me, despite how hard he's working, Rufus. I can tell he's hiding from me. Big up, my man. Absolute legend. Everybody show Rufus some love, please. Another good one right after Mark New. Another really great chat I had there with Rufus. So please show him some love. But I think it's Queen Ellie time. Looking forward to this one. Yes, there she is.
And the hat is back, Jack. The hat is back.
Captain Højbjerg. There we are.
Look at that.
Oh, that's a gorgeous kit. Oh, that's a gorgeous
isn't that
kit.
lovely? Yeah.
Ellie,
So
why is it that they don't? They took away the. I'm not sure what it is in Danish, but they took away that slash in the O. That's frustrating.
Yeah, they're racist.
I think my Højbjerg kit has that. My Højbjerg kit has the slash. My Højbjerg kit from the Jose Mourinho season. That one.
Yeah, because this is an official one. It's an official
I know, that's
shirt.
frustrating. Daniel Levy saving a penny maybe on the slash, I guess, on the O. Maybe he's saving a penny on the
I can always do it myself because I'm quite artistic. I've got the art in me.
There you go. Nice. There you go.
As well, you see. I've got my golden top now. Yeah, that's an addition. Anyway, let's chat about Spurs. Come on, let's get.
You need Højbjerg to sign that cap. Let's get going, Ellie. Just stop messing around. Let's get going. Do you want to grieve about Wednesday, or do you want to get straight into Bournemouth?
I'll talk about Wednesday. Yeah,
please. Yeah, because I think it's a good place to start. And I think what I've been kind of asking people, Ellie, is before we maybe talk about VAR, if you want to, and all that, let's talk about what went wrong in the first half. I mean, why were we so stale in the first half? It was really dreadful.
Yeah, it was, Jack. It was like we were in slow-mo, because I was filming it and I was trying to quicken them up. Right? Honestly, it's like they were very lethargic. They weren't at it. They're doing that a lot of this season. Obviously, the first half, Conte still does his team talk, but it's like they're conserving their energy for the second half. Because the second half, they came out and really played quite well in patches. Not all the time, because
I thought the second half we dominated them, Ellie. I think you're being, I think you can be nicer to us. I think we absolutely dominated them, and it was frustrating. In fact, we wasted a lot of chances. I thought, especially Dyer had 2 good headers, and there were other ones too. Yeah,
we did, but I think they had a couple of chances as well because Hugo done some really good saves, and then he got a head rush and came out. But I was saying on my channel. On our channel, THFC Till I Die, that he did the right thing by coming out because that player was clean through, right, and there was no defenders around. So he came to put him off and he pushed him to the corner. He blocked the first one when he tried to get it across, and then the player was put off and he done a long cross and it went nowhere. So I think Lloris done the right thing there because he was acting like a sweeper. But sometimes he comes out and he cocks up. He really does mess up. So my heart was in my mouth.
It does.
My heart was in my mouth because I thought he was going to mess up on that one because he's been messing up quite recently. He's been making some gaffes. Come on, Lloris.
Come on, Lloris. Especially with what happened with Wilson in Newcastle. I think you're absolutely right to be thinking that way, to be holding your breath maybe a bit there, Ellie. But do you feel like the players, is it just them getting tired? Is it them, maybe some of them not playing for Conte? Why is it that, they just came out so slow in the first half? And what is it that maybe changed in the second half? Like, how did it all of a sudden click for them? How did it all of a sudden, come together? Because it's weird that they started off so slow because we needed them to start off quickly, Ellie. I mean, they hadn't been playing well before those games and they needed to show the fans what they were all about. And is it because are they just kind of losing form, losing confidence, or are they maybe trying to throw Conte under the bus? What do you think it is?
I hope not, because if they throw Conte under the bus, he'll kill them.
I know that's the answer I've gotten from every fan. That's the answer I've gotten from every fan, which is a great answer.
Right, but no, I just think it's because they just lose concentration and they think they're better than they are sometimes. Then they think, we're going to easily win this game. When Sporting Lisbon beat us 2-0 in the last 2 minutes of their home match, and they pretty much played better than us in that first leg. Overall, they played better than us. We had our chances, but they did too. But I was expecting us to come out all guns blazing, and we were like a whimper. And I was talking to everybody in the crowd, and I was thinking, what do you think of that? Because I was filming, and they saw me filming, and they was giving me reaction like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Where's our identity? Where's our intensity? Where's our players that can actually affect the game, like Sonny and Kane? They went missing, right? So even Højbjerg and Bentancur was on there, on point. He was intense from the first minute go. That whistle went and Bentancur was on it. Yeah. Højbjerg was on it, but not all the time, right? Yeah. So I was expecting more from him. But then the second half started. I think the big difference is when Brian Hill came on, right? That's my opinion. Because we were getting on top, but he really put the cherry on the cake because he was finding pockets of space, right? And he was creating havoc, and his movement is really good. I like the way he moves because he reminds me a lot like Modric, but not with the same strength as Modric. And he moves. He's a very clever player.
What did you make of that one, whatever it was, that one body feint he made with that player, Ellie? He absolutely lost him. He gave him the Ellie shoulder there. He absolutely lost him. The Ellie feint.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of potential, the boy, right? And I think Conte sees that, and he's already said he's not got the physicality to cope with he's not got physicality to cope with 90 minutes. That's why he's giving him cameo roles. But the cameo roles that he's had against Frankfurt, he done that fabulous dribble, got the penalty, and he actually lost the ball, first of all, and he had the tenacity to win it back, right? So I wouldn't call him Gil Messi. I just call him Gil Modric because he's not a striker like Messi either, really. Messi's more like a creative
player. Like a Modric, even though Messi, we all know, is creative.
Yeah, but I like him a lot, and I think if we start him, I think we're going to lose a lot of what he can give. I think it's better to bring him off the bench.
Interesting. So you think he brings that energy and whatnot? Maybe start. What would you do then? 3-5-2? Would you start Lucas? What would you do?
No, I would start Lucas, but do a 3-4-3, but play him in Gil's position. Yeah, I would, because he's quite good on the wing, Mora. Even though he's a bit like a headless chicken sometimes. He runs with his head down. He's got all the skill, but no end product. And there was one incident where he beat two players and then he whacked it across the 6 yard and gave nobody a chance to tap it in. All he had to do is roll it across and the player would have got it. Well, two players were waiting for it, but they both missed it because he whacked it across. He doesn't know the weight of the ball. He hasn't got a deft touch when he's passing.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a. Well, you're never going to teach him that because he's not got it in his locker. He's not got it in his locker because we've seen it down the years. How many times have we seen Lucas dribble brilliantly and then nothing? You know,
It feels like he's almost, if anything, you can sort of tell by his first touch of the game whether he's really on it that day. Like, he can cause teams absolute chaos, Ellie.
Yeah,
But it almost,
he does.
you can't judge him. It feels like just by how he looks, how he's running around, whether he's really up for it and whether he really is going to make an impact. But I have kind of agreed with some people in the chat, as well as some people before, maybe saying this season more than ever, it sort of has shown that we've kind of outgrown maybe Lucas a little bit. And so maybe it is the right time that he does maybe sort of move on after the season. But Segal here, Ellie, saying we have Liverpool next weekend. Also, bear in mind, we also have Marseille on Tuesday. Shouldn't we have our first, if not entire 11 rotated for Bournemouth? So, Ellie, basically, a lot of people think we need to make rotations for tomorrow, no matter the form or anything. Do you kind of agree there? And what sort of rotations would you make?
I think it depends on Conte which one he values more, the Champions League or the league title. And we know where his loyalties lie. We know he wants to win the league because, first of all, he wants to beat Pep, right? Because Pep has cornered the market, hasn't he? He's got 4 out of 5 league championships and Klopp's got 1. Right, so out of those 2 coaches, he's third in the league at the moment, but he's ahead of Klopp. He's ahead of Klopp. They're catching up though, Liverpool. They are catching up. So we've got to watch what's coming behind us, not just what's ahead of us. True. We've got Arteta at number 1 spot, and we've got Pep at number 2, and then Conte's number 3. So I think he's going to give more credence to that Bournemouth game. I think he's not going to drop a lot of players. I think he's going to play his tried and tested Bentancur and Højbjerg because he trusts those 2 boys to do a good job for him, because they do week in, week out. Sometimes they've had a little bit of a downer, you know, they've had a bit of a stinker, but you can forgive them 1 stinker out of 7 or 8 matches, you know. But Bentancur's been very on point this season. I'm very impressed with him, especially the way he stepped up
I feel like he's working so hard recently.
Oh my God.
And he's running everything.
Yeah, it's like somebody's put a new engine in his, you know, like they've revved it up. He's very fast as well. I didn't realise how fast he is. But I just feel that he really does care. He really does care. And has he won the Champions League before? Has he actually won the Champions League?
He's been at Juventus, so no, he's never won it since he's been at
never
Juventus.
Won it, no.
But he's obviously played in some massive Champions League games, and he was there at Juventus during kind of the good days, like as well, like in the past recently. So
yeah, so that's an incentive
the better days of Juventus.
Yeah, it's an incentive for him to win it with this Spurs team would be a true achievement, because we're not the finished article, are we, Jack? We've got lots of weaknesses. We've got strengths, but we've got a lot of weaknesses, and there's dead wood that they have to get rid of, right? So we listen. We're not the best team to watch, but we're getting results, like everybody says. So as long as we're getting the results, I don't really, hand on heart, I do care about football. I really do, because I'm a true Spurs lady. I want us to play in style and win in style. But if we can't and we win ugly, we have to accept it, Jack. We do, because we're still winning.
Yeah. And also, Elliot, I must say, I think the boring tag, the negative tag, all that sort of stuff, it's a bit lazy if you ask me, because you just look at, the players that haven't been scoring for us this season. And I think that's really the reason. The fact that Kulusevski hasn't been in the team, the fact that Richarlison has now not been available, Sonny hasn't exactly been, firing with the goals as much as he has been last season. Those are all real. Those are all real reasons like that. We're not, firing. Højbjerg's the 3rd highest goal scorer in the team right now. That just says a lot. It's just, it's not negative. It's just, there he is. It's just that I just don't think they're showing up right now in terms of finishing. We haven't been clinical like we were last season. Last season, we were so much more clinical. And I think that's part of the reason why we get put with that tag. I think it's just a bit lazy, if you ask me. But hopefully we get the big win tomorrow. And some people have been going for 3-1 tomorrow, Ellie. So what's your score prediction?
Well, on Mari's channel last night, I said we were going to lose. I really did. Because I looked at
That's
the,
Ellie. I don't know if I could take that. I'm
I
going to be
know,
honest.
I don't know what I was doing. It was late at night. I was delusional, right? Anyway,
You can still believe it, Ellie. I'm just saying, like, I'm going to need some
no, I'm not
therapy after that. I'll
delusional.
need some
I just did
therapy.
it for banter. I just did it for banter. Anyway, I just thought, I looked at the stats of Boybier. We've lost 66% of the games, 66% when he's not been playing. Yeah, so when he does play, we win more. So he's got to play tomorrow, even though he's knackered. And he wants another rest with his little boy Theo, probably, have a little play around, right? But yeah, I just feel that we need to go there and really be on the front foot from the first minute that whistle blows, because Bournemouth will be up for it. They will, because they've got a new manager, they've got a new direction. They want to impress their own fans as well in front of their own crowd, and they're always up for it against us, even when we've had better sides, Jack. Right?
Yeah, I've heard we don't exactly have the easiest of records, or the best of records against them. I've heard we kind of slipped up in the past against them. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. There was one year we had 28 chances and they beat us 1-0, I think. I think they beat us 1-0. It's when Berbatov was there. Wow. If I'm right, we had 28 or 29 chances. I don't know, you're the stats man, but I remember it.
That's heartbreaking to see. That's just makes you sick. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that we lost the game. We had so many chances to put it away. So I want us to be very lethal in front of goal, because we haven't been deadly this season, even though we've won 6-2 and 4-1 against Southampton. All the other games, we've been really struggling to score or create chances.
And is the 3-4-3 the answer to that, or is it just the players? What do you think? Formation? No. What do you think it is?
Do you know what? I said 3-5-2 right before, because we were really weak, trying to stop them coming through. All right, but I don't know. I think Conte likes the 3-4-3 better. But I think against Bournemouth we can get away with 3-4-3 because they're going to press us. But I don't think they're going to play a low block. I think they're going to go for it. So we can pick them off. We can pick them off. But we've got to have Sonny and Kane on the same page. Because they haven't really been on the same page this season so far. Occasionally they have. But it's almost like they're being greedy.
They haven't threaded each other through. They haven't played each other through in the same way. They haven't. I know what you're saying, Ellie. I agree with you.
It's really disappointing. I want to see Son and Kane on that level when they're both smiling and they're cuddling each other, come on. Yeah.
Come on, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely right, Ellie. And so what did you say? Because I needed a score prediction. I'm not sure if I actually heard one there. Did you give me one?
No, I didn't, but I'm going to say 3-1 to Spurs.
Another 3-1, Ellie. I've been getting a lot of the 3-1, so I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the others. How are we conceding? Are you like Rufus? We just love to concede. We just love to concede. Is that why?
Derek Dyer's in the team.
There you go. That's right. No, Ellie, I must say, I think you're like Davo. I think you weren't ever very convinced with Eric Dyer. I think since I've ever known you, you haven't really been the biggest Eric Dyer fan. So I think you finally find yourself proven.
Yeah. I call him a lummox a lot. If I ever met him, he'll probably kill me.
He's not even playing like Moon Boots right now. He's playing like Moonhead. But Ellie, tell us about the channel as well.
Yeah, the channel, I've got my own show as well. THFC Till I Die, we're flying. We've got 700 subscribers. And we're going to do a big thank you tonight, me and Dermot. We're going to say thank you to all our fans who've subscribed. And then we've got other shows coming up. But we've got the charity one, which is a really big one, on the 18th of November for autism and ADHD and people suffering with general mental health issues. And then I've got my own show that I started with Dermot. He was my co-host, and it went really well. I was really nervous, but I got through it, and it came out okay because I watched it back, and I didn't think I was as nervous as when you're in the show, you think you're more nervous. I watched it back, and it went well. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy the questions Dermot asked me, and I enjoyed talking about the ladies' team. And I enjoyed being at the game as well, because the game, although we lost 3-0, I had really good banter with the Man City fans. So,
Nice.
yeah, and I'm going to the Everton match as well. And they've got Everton on the 6th of November.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Spurs are playing on the same day. The men's team are playing on the same day. So I've got 45 minutes from when they blow the whistle to get over to White Hart Lane, Brisbane Road.
From
so
Leyton
I'll have
Orient?
to take an Uber.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rely on the train.
What's it like playing at the new Leyton Orient Stadium? Is that better? Is that worse? Yeah, that's a lot better.
No, it's a lot better. The atmosphere is better. It's a nice little cute ground. And I felt like getting on. The ball came right to me. And I felt like running on, Jack, and playing.
Taking the throw in yourself. Go for a long throw in, long throw in specialist.
You know, they're pretty good, the Spurs ladies team.
Yeah, Ash Neville has been the big player, but who apart from Ash Neville has been impressing you?
I like Selena Sadorski at the back. Okay. She's like a centre back, but she can play different roles. And then I do like Kaya Simon, but they're not playing her at the moment. So I think maybe she's carrying an injury from last year. I read up that she did have a small injury from last year. I think that's why she's not starting. And then Ellie Brazil, she's got the poor girl in her first full match for Spurs, and she's got an ACL, right? And she's not going to play for the whole of the season. And she's my namesake as well, Ellie Brazil. You know, and I felt so sorry for her, Jack, because she's got a lot of potential. Yeah. And then there's a girl called Naz who's very
Jessica
good.
Naz.
And Drew Spence is very good from Chelsea. Right. Very strong. The only thing they lack is the midfield. The midfield don't really pass to each other that much. They try to get it to the wings. They should start passing to each other and playing little cute balls into the striker, you know, like we do with Harry Kane. Little cute balls, then get it to the wing and then cross.
We're playing too wide, too much. We play, too much in the wings.
Yeah, work the ball forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Ellie, I really enjoyed that. I can't wait to listen to this. Can't wait to listen more of this on your channel because this is I don't get to see all the games because Spurs Play only shows so much of them. The States only show whichever ones as well. So I can't wait to look forward to it. I also, I do the research when I can.
What I'll do for you, Jack, I'll send you my live footage from the match because I actually filmed the whole of the match. And what I'll do, I'll clip it for you for the best bits.
Wow.
So, you know, because Man City, they were awesome. There's a player called Chloe Kelly who plays for England. And there's another one called Lauren Hemp. She done a fantastic dribble and whacked it right into our bottom right-hand corner. It's fabulous. It's brilliant.
Like it. I'm also glad to see that we've made such a strong steps maybe after last season as well. We're definitely had a good last season, but it looks like we're kind of staying in that sort of vein, staying in that sort of kind of that mold, which is good to see.
Ladies.
Big up the Spurs ladies. Great combo, Ellie. Great combo. And everybody go show Ellie some love on THFC Till I Die as well. Please show her.
Come on.
And it's a beautiful kid. Beautiful kid. Ellie, we'll be seeing you very soon. Thanks for coming on as always.
Thank you, Jack.
Catch you, Ellie. Come on, you Spurs.
Bye-bye. Good luck with the rest of the show. Cheers.
Thank you, Ellie. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye. Everybody show Ellie some love with that Hoy beer kit as well. Absolute legend, Ellie. But it's time for KPV, everybody. And no, it's not even KPV. It's Kyle, Brian Daigle, Ben Sim, We Are Ton TV, Kulisevsky. Where'd you get all those characters, KPV? I don't even know if you can fit that on the back of your kit.
I don't know. I thought I'd just type it up before I came on, and I thought I'd type
That'd be an
the name
expensive
up.
kit. That'd be an expensive kit. That one would be.
Yeah,
right?
expensive kit for the names, but oh well.
How are we doing, KPV? What do we want to talk about?
I think I still want to talk about 48 hours ago. 48 hours ago, the game. 2 days ago, the game. Robbed. We were robbed, man. Don't know what he was smiling at, but big up Zinedine Sorsberg for not shaking his hand because he told the ref he was not going to shake his hand. So big up.
Yeah,
Big up
legend.
to
What a
him,
legend
man.
Højbjerg is for that.
He's
Doing
what a
exactly what
legend.
Conte would have done. Did you also see
Yeah.
Stellini? Stellini was getting in there as well at KPV. Stellini wasn't very happy. G&D says it's the MPV, it's KPV.
That's what he meant, MVP from the WWE. Like,
MVP,
I'm not
it's
MVP,
KPV.
it's KTV. But yeah, Stellini, I had got a bit annoyed. And like, the referee should know that it touched the Lisbon player, so it should have been given a penalty. Like, we were robbed. Like, he's the same ref that was the VAR official for the Champions League final in Madrid 2019. So I don't know why he's smiling, but luckily I found this Facebook account. His name's Danny McAlee. So everyone go on Facebook and just send him some
What did you
messages.
make of that Gooner smirk he had at the end of the game as well, Kyle? It's just the worst, right? It's the worst. Yeah,
Words. I
exactly
don't
right,
like
Kyle.
what he does. I
Yeah,
don't
did
like
not
him,
like
man.
that. Felt like Kyle, he was having a laugh at us. It really was. It
Yeah,
really
was having
did.
a
And
laugh.
also, did you find
And
out as well? It's the same referee that gave that penalty award in the Champions League final. It's not a coincidence, KPV. If you ask me, not a coincidence.
yeah, I don't like him. Like I don't know why he refereed our game on Wednesday. He refereed the Champions League final. I don't know why he gave the penalty like to Liverpool. Like
Hmm.
VR didn't have a look at it back then because it touched Sissoko here, not here. He was just telling someone to like go back, defend, don't let them shoot, and then yeah, they give Liverpool pen and they just like petition. Brian Daigle already put on Twitter and Facebook, like, sign a petition to remove VAR from the Premier League. And, like, everyone's already signing it and donating and chipping in as much as they can. So, everyone, go on Brian Daigle's Twitter page, type in Brian Daigle, and he'll come up with a Tottenham on Tour logo, and you'll find, like, the petition to remove VAR, which I'm already have. And, like, it's time we scrapped it. Just scrap it. Like, they always on our side when we play Man City. Like, yeah, we
That's what
want
it
to.
reminded me of, KPV, was that referee's smirk on his face. Reminded me of that game in against Man City when that referee, the assistant referee, threw his arms in the air and threw his hands down when we scored that winner, and it showed that he obviously didn't like to see Spurs getting a winner. Felt like that referee putting the smirk at
Yeah,
the end of the game gave me a similar sort of
yeah,
kind of
don't know
feeling.
why he does that, but I just don't want the ref. I just don't want that referee again. I'd rather somebody else. Like, apparently, well, Bobby Madley is back refereeing after he was sacked in 2018. Like, don't know what he's thinking. I don't want
Hmm.
him either, but I'd rather somebody else referee. I don't know who referees there are. There's too many to choose, but somebody else. But yeah, robbed. Like, I bet you, Sporting Lisbon fans were happy, but we finally
Yeah.
had one Lisbon fan saying they agreed that we were robbed, and
Yeah, they probably even felt lucky themselves. I
we
think there
felt
was
lucky
even an
themselves.
angle of the manager, KPV. The manager even, like, was thanking his
Forster.
lucky stars as well. They knew they got away with one.
Yeah,
Are
they
you a bit
knew.
frustrated to see that it's gone to the last day, KPV? We have to go to Marseille and we have to get a draw or win. Does that kind of
Yeah,
frustrate you a bit?
I'm I'm frustrated. Like, I think we haven't won an away game in Europe since 2020. I think it was the Europa League we won an away game against the other team when Dele Alli scored against. I think it was the home leg and we won the away leg against some other team. But like, yeah, it was the last time we won an away game in Europe. But like, we go to Marseille. Laurie said it would be like a final. So, but a draw guarantees us going through. But I just want to win the group so we don't play Bayern in the last 16. Like, just win the game. I don't want to play Bayern because nobody wants to play them. Like,
No one
yeah,
wants to
let's
play them or Napoli, I feel like,
let's win the
KPV.
game on Tuesday and then we'll focus on Liverpool. But Bournemouth tomorrow is going to be, I think, better because we
We
haven't
need a
won.
win tomorrow. Must win
Yeah.
tomorrow is what I wrote in the title, KPV. Is it a must win for you? A 3-1 is what people have been saying. I feel like I
I'm,
need a 3-1. I need something like that tomorrow.
I want a clean sheet, so 3-0.
Nice.
Clean sheet.
I've been waiting
Clean
for that
sheet.
clean sheet. I need one
Clean
too.
sheet. We need that clean sheet. Like, Lloris has kept so many in his career, and he even joined the 100 club back in what before Toby Alderweireld left, and yeah, everyone's congratulated him, and yeah, welcome to the 100 Club, Laurie, the clean sheet. So, but we need to keep a clean sheet, and tomorrow that start, and then yeah, then that will go Tuesday and next weekend. So 3 clean sheets would be nice for us. Hugo, do not do the same like you did already last weekend at home
Do you
against
start
Newcastle.
Hugo tomorrow, KPV? Do you play Forster? Do you rotate there? Or what do you think of Hugo? Do you just play him through it right now?
Yeah, I'd probably just keep Hugo in goal because Forster, I know he hasn't played, but I don't think Forster can save a penalty. Like, if we were to concede, Bournemouth would probably score past him. So maybe I'll just keep Lloris in goal because he's number one. Like, Forster, I know he's backup. I know he came to competition, but yeah, he's not really a competition. But if Lloris was to get injured, I probably want Gazaniga back because he made 14 saves against Liverpool when this season they won the title, and he made 14 saves. So I want Gazaniga back. I know Super Ollie T wants him back. Everyone. If you want Gazaniga back, then I'd love him back. He was brilliant.
Yeah, you feel like you'd be more comfortable rotating him maybe in instead of Forster. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
More confidence in Gazaniga than
More
Forster.
confidence in Gaza than Forster. Maybe Forster will start the cup games. I think that's how that goes. I think he starts the cup games, but yeah, that's what I'd do. But we've got this game to focus on tomorrow. Like a 3-0 win would be nice. Then and get happy on Tuesday to win. Then focus on the game against Liverpool, then Leeds, then the World Cup again. So, yeah, Kulu should be back after the World Cup. But Brian Hill doesn't get ahead of Kulu. I'm sorry.
No, can he do a job though for the time being? And do you prefer Brian Hill ahead of Lucas in that 3-4-3? You like Hill Messi more?
Yeah, I'd like Hill Messi more. But I was saying to Ben and Sim, today or yesterday, I'd say Hill and Kane up top 3-5-2 because I know Son hasn't scored since that Leicester game, and I'd start Hill, ahead of Son for this game tomorrow. Then bring Son on the pit off the bench, score a hat trick again. That's what I want.
You go 3-5-2 tomorrow. You would go for a
3-5-2.
nice.
3-5-2. I would want, and 3-5-2 would be nice to. Yeah, Kane and Hill up top. He's been immense the last few games.
Kane has, or Hill has.
Hill has, and Brian Hill Messi. Home against Frankfurt, Kane didn't pass. He could have got the 4th goal for Hill Messi, but Kane decided not to pass. Just missed. So Hill was immense Wednesday, and he's going to be immense tomorrow. So yeah, let's hope Conte can start him with Kane up top, 3-5-2. Then we get the win. And then
is the man on the back of your shirt scoring tomorrow? KPV? Is there anybody on the back of that shirt? Is that a Kulusevski kit? Is that a KPV kit? What is that kit?
I'm wearing a Kulusevski shirt because,
so who's scoring in Kulusevski's place tomorrow? Who's scoring?
Obviously, got to go for Harry Classy because he loved the goal against Bournemouth, and I know Son scored against Bournemouth a couple of times. So those two, and maybe who else? Bentancur again or Højbjerg. So out of those two, I'll probably say, Benteke, as they call him, Benteke. Ellie calls him. So Kane, Son, and Benteke. So 3-0, clean sheet, and we go again.
Who's letting the dogs out too, KPV? Who's letting the dogs out?
Well, Ellie let the dogs out. Ellie did.
Can you trust her to do it again?
Huh?
You're trusting her to let the dogs out again? Did you say she did it last time too?
No, last time I said Brian Daigle did. But
okay, gotcha.
This time it's Ellie who let the dogs out. So Ellie let the dogs out. Ellie did. So
nice.
3-0 clean sheet, and then focus on Tuesday in the next 2 games before the World Cup.
3-0
And
clean sheet, and
yeah,
get ready for some cherries tomorrow, KPV. Be
yeah,
hungry for some
cherries.
cherries tomorrow.
They're getting scrapped. They're getting destroyed. They're getting demolished. They haven't scored a goal in the last 2 games, so they're
Maybe have a
getting
cherry milkshake after we beat
cherry
Bournemouth. Throw them
milkshake.
into a cherry milkshake.
Yeah, have a cherry milkshake and yeah, get the win, boys. Do not let me down. We need a reaction after last weekend, so
Yes,
we
yes,
don't want to lose
KPV.
3 games because I'm not having that. Then I don't know what's going on. But and do not boo Conte, everyone. I know
Yeah,
people are not happy with the style of football, but he just, like he said, he wants us to have patience and like yeah, we need what 2 transfer windows if we want to win this, if we want to win the league, and that's what the fans want. And but this competition, the Champions League, could actually be a chance to win, and the fans want it. I know some people don't, but I want it. So this could be a chance to shut those Gooners up towards the end of the
absolutely,
season.
KPV.
Let's
Time to shut them
win
up,
this.
my man.
Shut them
And
up, everyone. So yeah, win tomorrow, please, boys, and then the next 2 games are interested before the big World Cup begins. So anyway, I'm off to play more FIFA. I've
good
got
man.
Hero Crouch, and I'll see you all after the game. And
See
as
you after
always,
the game, KPV.
Levy out.
Levy out, KPV. That's what I'm talking about. Big
Tune in
FKPV. We'll
tonight.
see you soon.
Tune
Ellie's
in
letting the
to
dogs
Liverpool
out.
on TV tonight. Late show. I'll be on with Brian Daigle and Bobby K. So
Good
tune in
man.
for the Ellie. Make sure you're tuning in for tonight, everyone. Yeah, tune in for the late
Everybody,
show.
you'll find KPV on We Your Time TV later on that late show. Good man, KPV. I'll be looking forward to seeing what you have to say
Yeah,
over there.
sure, boy.
Good man,
I'm off.
KPV. I'll be speaking
There
to
you
you
go.
soon, brother.
See you,
Big
mate.
up,
Bye.
brother. Come on, you Spurs. Everybody show KPV some love, and you can catch them over on Weird Time TV later, everyone. But let's keep going. We got a few more fans to get to on this one. So many people want to have their say before the weekend, and I really do appreciate that, everybody. Keeping me company on this Friday, keeping me company. Nice vibes over here. But we're going to somebody who I haven't seen in a while. Good to see him. Elias, how you doing?
Hey man, doing good. Just been pretty sick over this week.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother, but it's good to see you. It's good to have you back.
Some respiratory infection, so yeah, just coping with it.
Well, that doesn't
Yeah.
sound fun. That doesn't sound fun. But hopefully we can have fun tomorrow. And so let's talk about Bournemouth then,
Yeah,
Elias, and also give me your thoughts on Spurs since kind of the last time I've seen you. I mean, what are your thoughts? And maybe the week ahead. We have Bournemouth tomorrow, Marseille on Tuesday. I think Liverpool, right, is the following game after. Tough.
yeah. Just before we go, that I want
Sure.
to just tell you all something. Let's laugh at Barca because they are now in Europa League after spending the amount of money that they spend on their
It is
transfers.
glorious, I must say. I am very much laughing, but it is brilliant. I must say it is brilliant. But we do want to talk about Spurs. I would say, Elias, what would you
Yeah.
say for even our own Champions League game against Sporting? I mean, what happened there? I mean, felt like we had the chance to win that game, missed a lot of chances in the second half. What are your thoughts on Sporting?
I guess it's really a disgrace that VR decision was a disgrace, but I've been hearing different comments and reading about different things that that particular VR rule says that it's an offside, like if a forward has gone in front and then he comes back and all that, like Kane was already forward, when he came to receive the ball he came backwards. There's a lot going on basically, and I really don't want to comment on that VR decision. Let VR do their job, but I mean when you have to look at at a a possible foul for like about 4 minutes. Come on, man! Just give the goal. Just give the
It's not
goal.
so clear
Really?
and obvious, right? It's
Yeah,
not clear
it's
and obvious
not
if
so
they're taking
clear and
that long.
obvious. So just give that goal. And I mean, like I'm surprised by the by that sort of a decision. And then after that, even that red card to Conte. I mean, it's a disgrace, really. So
Yeah.
I mean that is some anti-Spurs agenda that's going on. I believe, or I've been reading about it that actually it's anti-English agenda. Like they don't want like all the 4 English clubs to be in the Champions League
Potentially. I mean, that is what's been happening more recently, is that when they get to the semifinals, it is kind of just mostly English teams and like one kind of extra oddball team kind of out there. You're actually right there. Did you feel like that sort of decision, though? Do you agree with Conte, Elias? He did say that sort of decision would not have been made in another stadium. That decision would not be made against a Bayern Munich. That decision wouldn't be made against a Liverpool or anything. Like, do you kind of agree with him there, that it feels like that sort of callback, that sort of VAR decision, it only happens to Spurs, and I kind of do agree with him there.
Possible. It's his opinion.
Do you think, like, if you watched that moment, if that had happened to Liverpool, final depths of the game, final kick of the ball, would that have been called back for VAR if it were Liverpool?
I don't think so. Yeah, he's absolutely right. If it would been happening to City or Liverpool or even one of those clubs, I don't think this would have stood. PSG, even if you take it, or I don't think this kind of decision would have come in to a final minute when they have been playing that sort of a game. But it's really a disgrace, and perhaps but I really don't want to comment on that, like, because
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
you don't want to be you don't want to be a crybaby like some of those Gunner fans or the Chelsea fans who like hold
like Mia was saying. Yeah, you're right.
over the red cards and the decisions. Let's just move on. I mean, it happened. Let's not be the crybabies and focus on the next game, which is Bournemouth, and then we focus on Marseille game. So we move forward. We learn the lesson, and I mean, we just can't fully blame the VAR as well. We just can't fully blame the decisions that we got. We had our chances in the second half. Like, I'm not sure what's going on with Eric Dyer. What's going on with Son? They have been constantly missing the chances, and we paid the price. I mean, we could have been easily 3-1 or 4-1 up.
I agree. It felt like we had that many chances in the second half,
Yeah.
and I thought even Eric Dyer, after having a pretty, let's be honest, poor past few games, and also having a poor first half, I thought too, in that game against Sporting, it felt like that was his chance to kind of get back and make amends again for it. I don't know.
So I mean, you can back up on that red card, but what did we do when we had the chance? We can blame the red card. We can blame the ref. We can blame VAR. But what did we do? Did we take responsibility for the choices that we had? Did we make the most of the opportunities that we had? No, we didn't. So we can't fully blame everything on to what's not in our control, because what you have in your control, what the choice you have to make it and make the full advantage of it. So I mean, that of course, I mean, I would have loved that last minute winner, but it shouldn't have gone to that extent. Even the moment Brian Hill was on, the moment we were in the second half, we were playing brilliantly, and even some of the rival fans, they actually told me that your team was playing brilliantly throughout, but yet we lost. I mean, it's sad, but let's move on.
What do you make of then Brian Hill's inclusion, and also these thoughts on the 3-4-3 here, like El Jefe has brought up here? Are you kind of leaning towards the 3-4-3 tomorrow, or are you leaning towards the 3-5-2? How would you line up tomorrow, Elias?
I will line up as 3-4-1-2. You
would like, to maybe see somebody playing behind Kane and Son?
So I would put Langley, Dyer, and Romero with Spence possibly in the right wing back, Højbjerg and Bissouma in the midfield, as in the defensive midfield, Perisic on the left wing back role, or either Sessegnon. I don't mind either one of them, and then I'll put Bentancur as a number 10, because he has been showing that he can play in that role recently. And then I'll put Son and Kane up front, because Bentancur, if you remember that Norwich game last season and one of the other games as well in the Prem this season, he scored a goal, or was it an assist? I can't remember. He has been playing sort of like that sort of a position. It was a 3-5-2, but you could see the way he was making the runs and the way he was making his passes. He was almost like the number 10, and I would like to see him as a proper number 10 if possible.
And we also saw that one game. Was it against Everton? No, it was against Newcastle, where Lucas came onto the pitch and he actually played behind the strikers. He wasn't playing as a right winger. He basically was playing behind Kane and Son. Would Brian Hill be able to do that? Is he capable of that?
I think Brian Hill would be able to do that. If, in fact, if given the chance, I would want to put Brian Hill also there. But like what Ali said, Brian Hill give us that sort of creativity and that sort of a strength when he comes off the bench. I wouldn't start a player like Brian Hill straight away in a Bournemouth game. Actually, maybe Bournemouth game may not be a bad one to take a risk of putting him in that role. Just test him out, because it's that sort of game where you can experiment.
Feels like this is the game you do rotate. People brought this up before. Segal brought this up in the chat. This is the game that you maybe rotate more players in. Perhaps even Judd Spence, Forster, Hill, lots of players.
Yeah, you can actually rotate quite a lot of players in that, because this season Bournemouth has been that kind of team like Norwich was last season, I guess, right?
Yeah, you could say it's not actually bad. What do you make of also actually the fact that under Scotty Parker, let's say, they were getting kind of torn apart, and all of a sudden, though, when they sacked them, they went on a 6-game unbeaten run, and really showed the definition of a manager bounce. I think we would all take a 6-game unbeaten run. Certainly, not something to be sniffed at or overlooked. But in the past 2 games, they've lost. Are Bournemouth better than what they were in the beginning of the season, do you think, Elias? Like, is under this new manager, Gary O'Neill, I can't say I know anything about him, but he has obviously had an okay record since coming into the team. He's lost his last 2 games, but they did have a great manager bounce. So what did you make of that?
I won't say that, yeah, they had a great manager bounce, but when a new manager comes in, of course, your players want to kind of prove him and all that.
There's always a manager bounce usually.
There's always a manager bounce in certain teams. And Brighton had that as well, if you notice, when Zerbi has come in. But even if you look at, let's just take an example of Norwich. Last season, they also sacked their first manager and their second manager. He had a good run, but in the end, they finished at the bottom of the table. So Bournemouth is that sort of team at the moment. I don't want to take a lot out of them. They have had some pretty decent games against some opponents when they were down and all that. They have been pretty. I mean, they have been slightly better than the kind of team Norwich were last season, despite the fact that they don't have any key players. But I don't think that they would be really able to give us much of a trouble on the weekend game. So I would actually go for a clean sheet with a 4-0 win, Kane hat-trick.
4-0 win, Kane hat-trick. I mean, that is something I need. And some people have thought that we would concede in this one, Elias. Do you see us conceding, or do you think we're keeping a clean sheet?
I mean, if we play the back 3 of Romero, Dyer, and Langley, I don't see us conceding it, even if it's Romero, Dyer, and Ben Davies.
What if Sanchez gets rotated in? There might be a chance Sanchez gets rotated in.
And Emerson. If it's Sanchez and Emerson. Okay, one thing I've been really hating these days is,
I think Sanchez and Doherty is a worse combination. I would,
Sanchez and Emerson is the worst. Sanchez and Emerson is the worst. Doherty is slightly better, but Sanchez and Emerson has been the worst. I hate the fact that when Emerson is on and when Conte subs in Sanchez or and take out Romero, that's like the worst thing that you can do on that right side. So I've been really hating that. But if that's the case, I think we may concede 1 goal. But let's hope that it's Dyer, Dyer, Langley, and Romero.
Yeah, and I think Højbjerg, from what I heard, was that Romero was the one that was sort of dealing with the fatigue injury a bit more than Højbjerg apparently was. Seems like Højbjerg's kind of back and good to go from what I saw. And maybe Romero's the one that's still kind of not 100%. So maybe he might save him for Tuesday and Saturday. Might save him for Tuesday and Saturday, Romero, and rest him for this one.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well want to play Tanganga, but okay, if you want to play Sanchez, please don't put Emerson there. Please don't put Emerson there. I mean, I don't know why, but recently I've been hating Emerson a lot. In a way, Emerson had
recently. I mean, man's barely been playing. He hasn't been playing. He had a good game against Newcastle too. He had a good game.
So he hasn't been playing in the Prem, but he has been playing in the Champions League. Actually, if you notice that, he has been playing in the Champions League.
In the most recent one, he
Yeah, he was there.
In the
The
most
last
recent one he was, but then the one before that he didn't. I think Doherty played.
no, he was there. He was there. The previous one also.
Emerson, though, I think that Doherty started in one of the most recent, not this most recent one, but the
No,
other
the
Champions League
most
game
recent
before
one,
that. Yeah.
Doherty started, but the previous one, actually, Emerson was the one who started.
I think what I'm trying to say is Emerson has only, I think, played like once and or twice in like the last 4 weeks, where like Doherty has played like 6 or 7 times. It feels like.
Despite that fact, actually, I've been hating Emerson because, like, seriously, that guy. Oh man, like I have one group with somehow Malaysian Spurs friends, and yeah, all of us actually absolutely hate him. Not sure why, but he has been like the weakest link in that on that right wing back side. I don't know why is he not catching up the system, and somehow Conte seems to like him. He prefers him over Doherty and Jet Spence. Like I want to see Jet Spence play, but really that guy is not even getting the minutes. So if he can get some minutes in this Bournemouth game and prove himself that he can play in that wing back role, I mean that would be lovely to see. And one good thing is that I think Jet Spence used to play with Sessegnon back in Fulham. Was it Fulham or?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, actually, Fulham. They might have been together in the youth academy.
Yeah.
I believe there.
They were together in the youth academy. So when the two, and they actually even played together in the under-19 England squad together.
Maybe that's where they know each other too. Maybe that's where they know each other.
So
Yeah.
so when you have this kind of understanding among the wing backs, it's pretty helpful when you make the crosses and when you make the runs, and it's very good for the kind of system that Conte plays. So I would love to see either one of them.
I'm ready. 4-0. 4-0, Elias. I like it. I dig it. That's the type
Yeah,
of thing I
4-0.
need, my man.
4-0.
Alrighty.
Okay, let's just go a 5-0. Kane, Patrick, Son, 2 goals.
Brace for Sonny, Kane, Hattie. I'm digging it. Elias, appreciate you coming on, my man, and appreciate you coming on. Happy you're saying. Hopefully we can catch more of you. And I also hope you feel better, my man. I'm sorry that doesn't sound very fun with what you're dealing with. So hopefully you feel better next week, my man.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Catch you soon, Elias. See you soon,
Come
brother.
on, Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Elias. 4-0 win. He's gone forward. 5-0, I guess, since he bumped it up. Just wanted to make it even, get that Sonny brace in there. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Sebas Wolf saying we see how much longer, we see how much hunger for game time Hill has. And I think Spence would show the same hunger. We need this new blood in the first 11. I think it's what Conte needs to take a look at this moment in time is the new blood, because things have gone a bit stale recently. It feels like Sebas. So what do you maybe do when times like this, when things are starting to look a bit stale? Throw in some new blood, throw in some people that are a bit hungry, like the likes of Hill, like the case of Judd Spence. I think you're absolutely right, Sebas. But let's bring on, I think, one of our second to last guests of the evening or of the afternoon. Looking forward to this one because I've been asking this guy to come on, practically dragging him on, it feels like. But here he is. Phil, good to see you, my man.
Hugo,
we trust. Let's get to it. Get straight to it. I'm assuming you're not liking all the pressure that Hugo's been getting recently then, Phil. You're not liking it.
Nah, it's justified, but he's been at the club for how long now? Do you know what I mean? Cut him a bit of
giving
slack.
up on him too soon, you think?
Yeah, well, I understand the criticism. I definitely understand the criticism. I mean, with his feet and his distribution, but I still think his shot stopping is getting him by at the minute. And we definitely need to look for a new keeper. That is a definite. But I think he can get us by this season and maybe next season as a backup to our new keeper that we're going to get.
What do you do right now with his form? Do you kind of just play him through it? Do you take him out of the firing line for a game or something like that? Because I'll be honest, like the sporting game, he still kind of, again, looked a bit rusty. And also, let me just ask you, just on your thoughts on him, could he have done better on the Marcus Edwards shot? Or are we kind of like looking for things now? Are we kind of looking to criticize him these days? What do you make of that goal that he conceded?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think because of the mistakes he's been making recently, I think we are, as fans, getting on his back a little bit. The pundits on the night said he could have moved his feet a bit quicker for the shot. Yeah, granted, but I mean, it was a good shot, to be fair. It was a bit of a daisy cutter. Went straight in the corner, but
well placed. It was like almost like a Tony Cruz like kind of sort of shot, where it's like, yeah, just like well placed, very, side netting. It's sometimes tough to get there. What did you make of, I think it was Rufus earlier, right? Was saying Hugo, he's more like, I kind of say, like, he's better with those crack sort of saves where like all of a sudden he just sticks a hand out, right, and he'll save it that way. More of a reactive sort of keeper, but maybe
Instinct.
now when instinct is the right word. You're right,
Yeah.
but when he has to make a decision, maybe Phil, it's starting to hurt him. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, his decision
Or
making
coming
at the
out of his
minute.
goal, whatever it may be. If he has to think about the shot that's coming at him a bit more, he makes more of a mistake. It feels like. I don't know. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, his decision making at the minute is a bit off. I don't think it's just to do with him. I think it's the back line as well is making him a bit nervous. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they're helping
Yeah,
him a lot.
someone said that last night. They make all each other nervous. And
Yeah,
someone said, Hugo, what if he had 3 good center backs that were good on the ball? Hugo might not look as shaky on the ball.
yeah. And this is what we need to address. We need 2 good centre backs in there, and a proper leader in there, to make our back three less shaky. Do you know what I mean? A bit more composed at the back, and that's exactly what we need. I mean, Hugo is getting a bit of a stick just on his own. It's not just to do with him. I think it's the back
when
three.
Sanchez is hitting one of those bobbly passes back towards him, I mean, even I am going to struggle. We're all going to struggle bringing that under control unless we're Ederson or something like that. And so there is something actually on that, and perhaps we look at Hugo because we're like, oh, Hugo, what are you doing? But maybe we realize that the pass, like to begin with, wasn't an easy one to handle or anything. And even just recently, let's be honest, Dyer just tried to score on Hugo against Newcastle. Tried to smack it into the back of his own net. And
I mean, let's be honest, Jack. I mean, keepers do get a lot of stick. I mean, if they make a mistake, everyone remembers it. Do you know what I mean? It's stuck in your head, and you think, oh, he's going to make another mistake. And goalkeepers do get a lot of stick. I wouldn't like to be one, if I'm honest. I've always been an outfield player, but goalkeepers for me, it's a bit of a hard one. But yeah, I mean, he's the captain. He shouldn't be captain now. He should be taken off. To be honest, I think an outfield player would be better. I don't think our defenders deserve to be the captain at the minute. But Højbjerg seems to be the perfect captain replacement for me at the minute.
Yeah. I think there is something to be said about this, but I do want to get on to that, what you're just saying there, Phil. But I'm finding this part really interesting that Sabas brings up here. He's saying, I think that's spot on, Jack. I think Dyer plays the ball back too much to Lloris and puts him under pressure from the opposition. Better center backs would actually help Lloris make fewer mistakes. It feels that way. And also, if anything, when they give that back pass, Dave brought this up the other day, Phil, they give that back pass to him, but then they don't show for it right afterwards. Like they're not like demanding the ball back to him. Yes, they're using him as an outlet. Like they're allowed to use him as an outlet, but they then kind of hide after they give that pass to him. And then sometimes we think it's Hugo's fault, but maybe he doesn't even have any passing options to begin with, and he probably feels abandoned.
Yeah, they're not confident enough to take the ball off Hugo. They're not confident enough. I mean, there's been so many mistakes in our back three, this season, and it mounts up. Do you know what I mean? So
it can't all be one person. It's almost like it's like a compounding thing, like they're compounding off of each other.
And it'll always be in their head. It always will be. I just think our defenders aren't good enough. Bar Romero, I don't think our defenders are good enough on the ball, and that's obvious to see at the minute.
Because they get shaky.
Until January, I think January, I'll be happy with one defender. If that's all we're going to get in January, well, I'll be happy with just one defender.
It feels that vital.
Who were capable on the ball and who was a leader in that back line. That's I'll be happy with that. Anything else is a bonus to me.
You spoke about the captaincy as well, though, Phil. You were saying you want to see maybe Hugo get rid of the captaincy or maybe lose the captaincy. Is that after the end of the season? Can that? I don't know if that can be done this season.
I wouldn't think it would be done this season. I don't think that's right to do that at this time. It might disrupt the group a little bit, but I think next season we need to think about that. I've never been a fan of a goalkeeper being a captain. Yeah. It always has to be an outfield player, whether it's in the back. I don't like a striker being a captain either. I'd rather it be a defensive midfielder or a centre back for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Even feels like a fullback would even be better still. Even a fullback would be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It just has to be some position that's involved. Is it also that the mentality you might have mentioned of the captain is maybe missing these days? And I'm not sure if it's fully on Lloris, but sometimes they label Eric Dyer a leader, Phil. But I was listening to Ali Gold's kind of, synopsis of the game against Newcastle, and he
Yeah.
brought up for like a whole 6-7 minutes, like Eric Dyer doing this, the YMCA, as people were saying, throwing his arms everywhere, blaming other players, taking the blame away from himself. These aren't really things that a leader would do in my eyes, Phil. And that's where I'm like getting a bit concerned. Is like we think that Eric Dyer is a leader, but is he really though? Because when he's making a mistake and when he's simply the worst player out there on that pitch, he's deflecting the blame from himself. He's not doing what a leader would do. And the reason I know I'm right is because I've seen Højbjerg make a mistake before and lift his hands in the air and throw his hands up and, acknowledge his mistakes. It just feels like Dyer, YMCA Dyer. Like,
it's basics, Jack. It's basics. Do you know what I mean? You play to the whistle. You don't piss about throwing your hands
cleared it off the line in that Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly. In that phase of play, he could have got on the back of the line. Do you know what I mean? While just throwing his hands in the air, he could have trapped back onto the line instead of fucking doing the YMCA.
He could have ran with his hands like that, and he still would have been able to block it.
There was at least 5 or 10 seconds in that phase of play where he could have just gone on the back of the line and tried to block the shot. But do you know what I mean?
This is they expected the ref to save them there. That's a concern that they didn't play through the whistle there, that they thought the ref was just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, especially when we saw, let's be honest, the way Hugo reacted and all that sort of thing. It was just kind of like, I can't believe Dyer, originally sort of his man and his runner as well, like just sort of thinks, oh, well, he's going to get the call here and just stops running. Like, what's the point? What does he gain? What does he gain by stop running? Like, why?
Yeah, these mistakes are so costly in the season. If we're going to be challenging for a league, or if we're going to be trying to win trophies, these are the decisions that we can't be making. Do you know what I mean? They're too big.
Do you agree with my October expiration theory? I think he's like expired milk in October. It feels like Eric Dyer, where under Jose he did this before, Phil, where he had a shocking October. If you recall that Werner penalty that he conceded, that was in October. Under Nuno, who only got fired recently, in the beginning of November. If you think about it, Eric Dyer started throwing in some shocking performances towards the tail end of Nuno as well. So do you think like October, it's almost like it's his hoodoo month. It's his spooky October month. If anything, it's his Halloween month. What do you make of that?
I mean, I don't like to get on players' backs too much. I don't like to do that because it does shoot their confidence. And
True.
You know what I mean? It's not good for a player.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It ain't good. But he has made a lot of mistakes. He has played well in parts this season as well. Let's not forget that.
I think he had good form before October. He had good form going into it. What is it? Dyer's form dipped after he came back from international duty. So he had good form going into the international break.
Yeah, 100%. But it's these little mistakes that we can't be having in our team. If we're going to be winning a trophy, we can't be having that in our team. And we need 2 world-class centre-backs in our team, 100%, to start winning trophies. And that's where it starts, from the back line, going to the front. So we need to sort that out massively. Yeah.
So what I'm getting from this is play Hugo tomorrow. No more panicking about Hugo. I think we can also, take from this is that, it's not always Hugo's fault every time, because it's some of these center backs putting him under pressure. And like you also pointed out as well, Phil, like it is that position. Sean has said this in the watch alongs as well, I've noticed, where he says it's that position where you make a mistake, it gets highlighted and it gets exposed way more than any other position. Whereas if you miss a sitter as a striker, almost equally as embarrassing as, a howler as a goalkeeper missing a sitter, it feels like it's easier for fans to forget a sitter missed than, a howler by a goalkeeper. But ultimately, I think the reason why is because a howler by a goalkeeper is more costly. You concede a goal usually.
Yeah, I think the game against Bournemouth. I think the game against Bournemouth is a chance to experiment Forster in the starting 11. I think it is a good game to put him in. Like Spence as well. I think that's a good game to put him in.
Yeah.
Whether Conte will do that, I don't know. I don't think he will. But I would do that myself, just to see what Forster's like. Do you know what I mean? Let's just put him in there, see if he can.
Two massive games after Bournemouth. 2 massive games. Marseille to go through, we need a draw or a win, and then Liverpool right after. It feels like, I mean, is he kind of forced to rotate? I think he's kind of forced to rotate if he were smart about it. No.
Yeah. I mean, I would stick with Hugo myself. I don't think we need to put someone in yet, albeit we could experiment with that, but I don't think we should be putting Hugo out at the minute. I think we do need him with a bit of, with high confidence going into these important games, especially against Marseille. We can't be dropping him against Bournemouth, I don't think, and then putting him in against Marseille. I think we need him match fit, match ready for next week, because that is a massive game for us.
I know what you mean. Can I ask you though as well, like with maybe the form right now and everything, do you see us going to Marseille, like, getting a result there? Because it's going to be no Antonio Conte. We won't even have him in there. And I'm going to ask you a quick question about that with him not being there, but what do you make of that fact? Like, Spurs have not had a good away, record this season. And then also we know away from, home in Europe, we have a dreadful record. It feels like it's frustrating to see Spurs kind of get to this final game where we find ourselves in a tough situation. I know VAR took it away from us, and I know we kind of hurt ourselves in that Sporting game. Ultimately, we should just bury the game and finish the chances, and we'd be in the round of 16. But we find ourselves, Phil, last game, like, this group, this Group D, I think for the neutral is actually quite entertaining. You must be honest, but it's frustrating. We've taken it to the last game.
Yeah, we've put ourselves in that situation, haven't we? Albeit the VAR decision last night, and we have put ourselves in that position with poor performances, very poor performances against teams we should be beating. Let's be honest, we should be beating them. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a hostile crowd. Conte ain't going to be there, which is going to be a big miss.
Is the kit man going to need to be in top form? What do you make of my theory? Is he going to have to pull a Jose Mourinho, get the hamper out, get the laundry hamper? Also, like I said, Conte is not a very big guy. He could get into a nice little ball, nice little crouch position.
Well, Conte will be
throw some kits on him, throw some towels on. He could sneak him in, right? I mean, the kit man's going to need to be in top form. That's why he's paid the big bucks.
Yeah, I think, Conte will be getting in the crowd, causing havoc with the Marseille fans, won't he? So he'll be
with the Marseille Ultras. Yeah, he'll be with the Marseille Ultras.
So I think the kit man will be all right on the side. Conte will tell him everything he knows. So I think we'll be all right. But on a serious note, I think the results, we'll get a draw out of it. What we need, I think we will get a draw. I don't think we'll win. I don't think we will. I think we'll scrape a draw, which I'll be happy with.
As long as it's a point. I'll scrape anything as long as it's a point.
As long as we get out of the group, I don't care how we do it. I really don't care how we do it. I think tomorrow is important to get a good result from the start, not like in the second half, play from the first whistle. Do you know what I mean? Get that confidence flowing within the team, get a good result. And let's just smash Bournemouth tomorrow. Let's just get a really good result tomorrow and just dominate.
We need a good result tomorrow.
I haven't seen that this season yet.
Need a big win. We need a big win, I think. Some people have gone 3-1. Some people gone as high as 4-0. What would you go for then tomorrow, Phil? Because I'm with you. I think we need a big win tomorrow. So what would you go for?
I'd love a 4-0. I would love that. But I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be 2-0 tomorrow.
Okay.
I think we'll get a 2-0 win. I don't think it'll be as convincing as a 4-0, but I'd love that. I would love that. But I think it's going to be a 2-0 win, but a comfortable win for us.
2-0 is clean. It's kind of one of those I think a 2-0 is kind of one of those. You just get on out of there.
Yeah. I just want to touch on the
Go ahead.
The getting through the group and then who we get in the next round if we do get through.
Sure.
I'm not saying that this is the best option, but what if we were to go into the Europa League and actually, because are we expecting us to go through to the final and win this competition?
No.
Are we expecting that?
No.
All,
yeah, go on.
All I'm saying is, to Spurs fans is, I'm not saying let's on purpose go out in the competition and let's try and win the Europa, because that'll be the best option for us and the most realistic option for us. But we could win that competition and then we'd still be in the Champions League for next season, I think. But I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. Let's just put it out there. I don't want that to happen. But I'm just saying, what would Spurs fans rather?
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
You brought up such a good point. I love this, Bill. Do you know how I feel about the Europa League?
Yeah,
every English club says it feels like it's what every English club says. They always say like, "We'll just knock down the Europa League, no piece of cake. Like we'll go win it." There's when's the last time an English club other than Man United won the Europa League? Like they never win it. They always get to the final. They always get to the semifinal, and some Unai Emery team just seems to knock them out like every time. And that's where it also as well, like the fact that we have struggled against the Sportings of the world. I feel like you're going to run into like 6 more sporting like teams in the Europa League. Those like really well drilled, tactically smart, teams with a bunch of players that maybe no one knows about that are kind of secretly pretty good and things like that. And that's why I just feel like with the Europa League, it's so much slippier. Like it's so slippy, I feel like.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love us to. I love Champions League nights. I love Champions League nights. This is where we belong. All I'm saying is that
beating the Gooners
if we go through to the knockout stages and then we got knocked out in the next round, which I don't want to happen. Let's just put it out there. I don't want that to happen. But if we do that, then we're out of every competition in Europe.
It's like that Leipzig season where we got knocked out by Leipzig. It kind of hurt a bit.
And then we're just going for the league then to get into the Champions League, aren't we?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But it's one of them.
And Conte wants trophies. And certainly a pathway to a trophy there, Phil. Certainly a pathway. I like it. Yeah. I like it. Any kind of other final talking points before I let you go? And I think I heard 2-0 was your score prediction as well.
Yeah, 2-0 against Bournemouth tomorrow. I think they are a good side. They're playing well at the minute. They lost to West Ham, I think, last week, was it?
Yeah, what did you make of also the fact that Bournemouth, right? I was saying they're a bit confusing because they went on a 6-game unbeaten run. Like any team would take a 6-game unbeaten run. Like that is impressive. I think lost the last 2 games though.
Yeah, because they lost the manager, and I think they had a point to prove, and that always happens when a manager leaves.
Manager bounce.
They're making a point to the next manager that comes in, or the manager who's already there as an interim. So, it'll be difficult. We play pretty crap against Bournemouth quite a few times, but I think we'll get a result tomorrow. I think it'll be 2-0, and I think kind of getting the score sheets, and I think Perisic might get one tomorrow.
Oh, we need that. We need that. We need that. He's just been a bit frustrating, so we need that to happen. Absolutely, Phil. 2-0, I'll take it. And I really liked your other talking points as well, Phil. Really appreciate your patience, and also thanks for letting me drag you on as well, my man. Thanks for.
Nah, no worries, mate. It's been a long time, mate. I should have been on recently, but yeah, I was busy. So
appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for your patience as well, Phil. Top man.
No worries. Big up,
come on, you Spurs. Big up, Phil.
See you later. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on. Big up, Phil. Absolute legend. And also, it's towards the end of the show, everybody. Show him some love. Good energy there at the end. And it feels like he's just kind of hanging out on his Friday and, decide to pop on and have a say. And I do appreciate everybody else that has done that as well. Really, really kind. But last and certainly not least, the man, the closer, it is Dermatron. How we doing, Dermot?
Not too bad. I am sorry, Phil. I do not agree with you on 2 points. I am really sorry.
What is it on Hugo? Where do you disagree?
That one start in the Champions League. I think we need to be in the Champions League. Going down to the Europa League is a minefield.
I think I think he felt like it wouldn't be the worst thing. It's not the worst thing in the world. Is how he might have done it.
I've had enough of Europa League nights. I've had a gut full of them. I mean, you look, you got Juventus going in there. You got Barcelona going into that competition now. You got some big teams out of the Champions League's going in there. Look, I'd rather be in the Champions League and let's see how far we can get in it. Look, that's the only drop it. I can understand his point, but it's a dangerous game to play because you could also, if you're playing, you think right. If we don't get a point, let's drop down to Europa League. You could get Barcelona or Juventus in the next round.
Yeah, it's a slippery one. I think the Europa League is slippery, and I do kind of stand by that point that it feels like every English club goes to the Europa League, and it's like, all right, we'll get to the final piece of cake. It just never happens. It just simply doesn't happen. They always get knocked out by some team. They get knocked out by some team that is clever, knows their stuff, is able to set up well. And also, I've always noticed that even when the English team plays better, just something happens to go their way for the other side. It's just, we've seen it too many times before. Arsenal have been knocked out way too many times in the Europa League. I mean, they've had multiple chances to win it. Man United are the only, I think, English team of recent memory to have won it. And then Chelsea won it that one season too. But it just, I don't know. It's slippery. It just feels slippery. I feel like if it were easy for English teams to win it, they'd be winning it more often. Is how I see it.
Well, back in the day, we dominated Europe. Back in the day, we were winning European Cup and UEFA Cup every season. Back in the late 70s, early 80s. So, but look, knowing our luck, we'll probably get Juventus in the next round of Europa League. But no, it's Champions League. I think we can go far in the Champions League. I honestly do. I think if we get a good run, we got to the final before, so why not get to the final again? Stranger things have happened. Hugo. Look, I
do you rotate him tomorrow? Do you drop him?
I rotate him tomorrow. I'm sorry. Although he has been a great servant for the club, I think he's making too many mistakes. Either the defence is making him nervous or he's making the defence nervous. It's one or the other. But something has to give. I mean, that goal against Bolton, he should have saved. But mind you, Dyer should have stopped Edwards getting the shot off in the first place too. So you can put the blame probably on both of them. I mean, I picked an 11 today on my show I did earlier with Ellie, and I had Forster in goal. I had Romero, Longley, and Davis in the back three. Spence and Perisic the wing backs. Højbjerg as captain, and Basuma in the midfield, and then Son, Kane, and Hill up front, the front three. And then
you're kind of going with the 3-4-3. You're kind of feel like the 3-5-2 needs to maybe go.
I do. Look, we all shout for it. We just cannot. We haven't got the players for that formation. 3-4-3. We seem to cope with it better. So I think it does. I think we need to stick. And I think play Longley in the middle. See how he does there.
Do you agree with Stevie Frazier that just moon boots Dyer? He's just making everybody else nervous at the moment.
I don't think he's more moon boots. I think he's moon dead. For some of his decisions. I just think he needs to be dropped somewhere along the line. Why all these managers keep faith in him, I have no idea, because he just makes mistake after mistake after mistake. And you're right, Jack. It is October. Something happens to him from the 1st of October to the 31st of October. He goes missing. And it's not Dyer at all.
What do you do? Like, do you just play him through it? Like, that feels like our only choice. But is he going to continue to play worse then through November? That's what I'm curious about. Is like, and it's also tough because this is, of course, the month in natural sort of Spurs form. This is the month where we play the most games, and Dyer has had a pretty poor October, and this has been the game where it's been the most games, or the week or the month where it's been the most games. Sorry.
Look, we can. Look, we need to call it as it is. They're not, but the back three are not performing. Dyer, Davis, Doherty are not performing to the standards that we should expect of a Tottenham player. When you put that shirt on, you should go out with pride, with 110% commitment. Players in the past did it. And for Dyer, his goal against Newcastle, standing there, and I mean, great point by Philly, brought it up. He should be running back to protect the goal line. If Hugo's deciding to do his Benny Hill running around the pitch moment.
Yeah, you're right.
Where's the thinking ahead? Where's the thinking, right, if he's there, right, he might chip, so I need to get back and do my job. Instead of throwing his hands in the air like he's a airport conductor trying to land a plane or something. I mean, it makes you angry because, you know, and the fans that have paid good money to go and watch them play, and then players don't put in a performance, it's pretty sickening. And I feel sorry for the people that travel from America or whoever come over for a day at the game to watch their team play, and then players cannot be bothered to put a shift in. Do you know, there's something needs to change, but it's been like this, Jack, for the last 8 years.
What would make me really angry tomorrow, Dermot, is if we conceded first. You know, that would make me just absolutely livid.
That's
what I'm starting to get frustrated with is we're starting to concede first. I mean, we conceded first in all the last games. Conceded first against Sporting, conceded first against United, conceded first against Newcastle. It's not looking good for us. I think we need to start off on the right foot in this game.
Yeah,
that's where I'd get mad. That's where I'd get frustrated is if they start slow, they start lazy, they start a bit asleep, like possibly could happen. I mean, it's a 3:00 game as well. We know how they do with the midday kickoffs. But I don't know. I mean, it's certainly going to be an interesting one, I think, Dermot, because I think they're going to need to start off on the right foot right away.
Yeah, they do. But the problem is these players have let us down in the past. They've let other managers down. These are the same players. Got Posh the sack, got Jose the sack, got Nuno the sack. I was glad Nuno did get the sack, but they didn't perform under him. And they're doing the same under Conte. Is it like to get to a point where, oh, right, I don't like this manager, I want something new? Do you know?
Yeah. Do you think they're throwing him under the bus potentially, or are they just losing form and losing confidence?
I think they're throwing them under the bus. I think these are the same players that have let managers down before. I think there's a culture within the group that some of them think they're bigger than what they are. Some of them think they're better than what they are. And I think Conte's told them a few home truths and they don't like it. Do you know, you look back, Jack, to the players of the 70s and 80s that weren't on great money. Well, good money for them, for them years, but weren't on the money they are now.
Yeah.
You could guarantee they would put 110, 20% shifting. And, you know, they would do everything for the shirt they wear. These players that come out, oh, sorry, we've had a bad game. Oh, I apologise. I'll do better next time. Well, why not just do it right there and now?
Yeah,
and
you're absolutely right.
I think Conte has to make a statement tomorrow and drop some of these prima donnas and say, look, I'm not letting you let this club down again. Right, Spence, you start. Forster, you go and go for Hugo. Hill, you start up where Mora did nothing the other night. So I think Hill was only the team changed when Hill came on. He was the bright spark. And look, that pass he did to Perisic was something Hoddle did back in the day. I've never seen another player put that sort of a pass to Perisic, and it was dead to his feet. And the feint as well, he left that player, as you said, in another dimension. You know, the player looked around, well, where is he? And Hill's gone.
Yeah.
He's a mixture.
Does he have to start tomorrow, or do you think he's going to come off the bench?
No, he has to start tomorrow. We have to start tomorrow. He deserves it. Look, tomorrow's important. We have to get a result tomorrow. And Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday when we play Marseille, we haven't won away since the 5th of November 2020 in Europe. We've had 3 draws and 5 defeats. Something's got to give. We've got to go out the front. We've got to go out in every game on the front foot. That our lives depended on it. And look, we're Tottenham Hotspur. We're supposed to be to dare is to do, not to bore us to death.
Certainly not. I hope not, Dermot. Can you give me a score prediction, brother, for tomorrow as well? Like, tell us how the game is going to go. Is it going to be an easy one for us, or is it going to be tough?
We always find Bournemouth difficult for somewhere one place or another. Do you know what? I'm actually going to go for 1-0. I'm just going to go for 1-0, and I'm actually going to go for either Højbjerg or Romero score from a corner. That's my prediction. So
Højbjerg to score. I'm liking it. I'd love to see a Højbjerg goal. And then Dermot, tell us about the channel as well, brother. What's about to happen? Ali was plugging some good stuff.
Yeah. Just the Stevie D. I wasn't comparing Perisic to Hoddle, by the way. I was saying the pass Hill made to Hoddle was like how Hoddle used to pass across the field. I just want to make that clear because Steve D thought I was comparing Perisic to Hoddle. I wasn't. I was just saying the pass that Hill made to the crossfield ball was I haven't seen something like that since Hoddle. Really was dead on.
I would also say Steve D. You say since we didn't have I think what was it earlier? He asked. I must be old. I always thought the midfield. No, I think someone about saying Rob Belcher Hoddle was 65 this week. I suggest that instead of picking up his bus pass, he again graced our midfield. We're crying out for someone of his stature. I mean, let me know when the next Glenn Hoddle comes into the game. I'm not even sure if there's ever been another Glenn Hoddle since Glenn Hoddle. I'm not even sure. I think like Kevin De Bruyne is like the closest player I can think of to like a Glenn Hoddle. But I mean, seriously, the guy, I don't even know if you can replicate a player like that. They don't grow on trees. They only come once in a generation, if even that. So
Glenn Hoddle was a once in a lifetime player. He could do anything with the football. And Michel Platini was right when he said if he played in France, he would have got over 100 caps. He was a genius. And there'd been nobody like him ever again. Players have come close, or players are like him, but there's been another Glenn. There never will be another Glenn Hoddle because that man was a genius. He really was. So, sorry, Stevie D. Sorry, Steve D. If you picked what I said up wrong, I apologise. So sorry.
But Dermot, tell us about the channel and all that good stuff that Ali was plugging.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on over at THFC till I die at the moment. We've reached 700 subscribers, which I'm completely humbled by. I just never thought I would get that far. I thought I would get to 300, but to get to 700 is really humbling. And I'm really grateful and thank you to everyone that has subscribed. We've got Ellie's show every Tuesday at 3 o'clock now. The ladies show with Ellie, where she'll be talking about the ladies team, and we're doing that every Tuesday. We've got Newsbeat 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Friday at 1, where we're going through the latest news at Spurs. And then we've got a new show starting, Dermotron and Queen Ellie's pre-game thoughts. So that's a pre-record, so we do that. And we've got post-match, pre-match watch-alongs. And then we've got the big charity stream on the 18th of November for the ASD and ADHD charity for children and families that are struggling at the moment. Just need a little bit of help, that they can't get the services they need. So I'm looking to raise money to help families out, that if they need something for their child that needs for the sensory room, or they need something to help him sleep at night, just so we can get a little bit of help. So that's on the 18th, where we're going to do a quiz. We're going to show games, debates.
Good man, Dermot.
And we've got this platform, so I want to use it for when we got it, to do some good out of it. And we've got a lot to go over there, but I want to say thank you to you and Dave for all the help and support and advice you showed us at our channel. And really, this is the mothership to THFC till I die. It always will be. And, and thank you to everyone who subscribed. I'm very humbled and very grateful, so thank you.
700, massive Dermot, and everybody, let's get him up to 800, and let's keep pushing over there on THFC till I die. Especially, I would say the content has been coming pretty frequently these days for them, so really a lot to look forward to on the channel, especially if you like what Ellie has to say, if you like what Philip has to say, and if you like what Dermot has to say. A lot of really good people over there. Chris is over there too, I know. Plenty of people come on over there.
We've got a nice little gang over there. and me and Ellie have been having a few fiery debates the last couple of shows, so they're getting good fun there.
Absolutely. Well, Dermot, appreciate you, my brother, and I'll be seeing you soon. I'll be speaking to you soon.
See you soon. Take care.
Catch you, Dermot.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. And did I get your score prediction 1-0 right?
Yeah, 1-0. Yeah, 1-0 tomorrow. I think no. Sorry, can I change the score? I think either Bentancur or Højbjerg score tomorrow.
Yeah, you said Højbjerg, but Bentancur certainly after that header. But Dermot, appreciate you, brother. Come on, you Spurs.
You too. Come on, you Spurs. Thanks.
All right. Everybody show Dermot some love, please. And please get him up to 800. 700 is massive, but we want to see more. We want to see more love over there on THFC till I die. That'll do it, though, everybody. That is the end of the show. I mean, a massive one, I must say. We've been going, actually, for quite some time. We went through plenty of guests as well, which is really good to see. I really do appreciate everybody that stuck through this whole show, all the guests as well. You absolute legends. And it really has been a nice sort of chill Friday to, come on and have your say, as well as, interact with all you guys in the chat as well. And so I really do appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody that's come on today. Again, so many guests that we've gone through today. So I really do appreciate that. You guys keeping me company. Of course, tomorrow is the regular sort of game day stuff. It is going to be the pre-match build up nice and early or in the afternoon for the UK, and also the watch along as well. As always, everybody, for it. So don't miss it. Plenty of things to be looking forward to on this channel, as always, everybody. But yeah, we'll be seeing you tomorrow for the pre-match build-up and all that sort of good stuff. Really do appreciate you all tuning in for this one. Really do appreciate all the support. Hit that like button on your way out. Really appreciate everybody that also supported the channel with a super chat today. It really is a great way to support us, and it really does go a long way in keeping this channel fit and going. But everybody, on my way out, I will leave you with a big come on, you Spurs, and in Conte we trust. That's what I will say. At least Conte I trust, everybody. Let's grab the 3 points tomorrow. We're going to be eating some cherries, everybody, and I will be seeing you.